that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Next year, could a woman beater be living in the White House? According to reports in the Daily Mail and the New York Post, if Kamala Harris wins, the answer is yes. 3 women accused Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, of slapping his ex-girlfriend so hard she spun around, then climbing in a cab with her when she tried to escape him. They provided photos and documentation that corroborate their story. Emhoff's staff has denied it. But these women have offered far more evidence than Brett Kavanaugh's accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, ever did. Yet Kamala Harris lauded Blasey Ford's courage in a written tribute for Time magazine. Now no member of the media dares ask Harris whether we should still believe all women. The Me Too movement is well and truly dead at the hands of Doug Emhoff and Kamala Harris, with the conspicuous complicity of legacy media. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, with Hurricane Milton set to make landfall later today or into early Thursday morning. Governor Ron DeSantis, who doesn't have time to play telephone with Kamala Harris, had this message for looters. Again, executive leadership.
This is not going to be an opportunity for folks to take advantage of people. If you think you're going to go in and loot, you got another thing coming. You go into somebody's house after the storm passes, think that you're going to be able to commit crimes. You're going to get in really serious trouble. And quite frankly, you don't know what's behind that door in a Second Amendment state. So do not try to take advantage of people who are suffering because of the results of this storm. That goes for Helene continually, but then, of course, that will be the case for Milton. I know we've already brought a lot of people, held people accountable in post-Helene, and we will be very swift across all levels of government to throw the book at people.
Yeah, looters meet shooters in certain places in Florida. I mean, I remember after Ian 2 years ago, in and around my neighborhood, it was the residents who made makeshift signs that said, "We shoot looters." So
basically what I heard from Governor DeSantis is don't touch Dan Proft's stuff.
Yeah, well,
don't even look at his house.
Don't touch
or Sean's house, anybody's house.
Well, I mean, it's just
get the message out now.
Well,
don't mess with me.
It's interesting getting ahead of this, not just in terms of message sending, but obviously in terms of, more importantly, resource deployment, and that's what DeSantis has done. And it's a stark contrast from what we have seen from the Biden-Harris administration. J.D. Vance actually has an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal about the topic. I mean, it's stuff that we've covered, but he's amplifying it. Shortly after Helene made landfall on September 26, Biden was at his house on the beach in Delaware. Vice President Harris was flying between ritzy California fundraisers. Homeland Security Secretary Ali Mayorkas was in L.A. presiding over an awards ceremony. Before the storm, Harris had blown off her disaster response briefings, which were a staple of the Trump administration's disaster response planning. And importantly, as we discussed late last week, the former Army Rangers that wrote that excellent piece in American Mind about where's the 82nd Airborne? Why have they been deployed from Fort Liberty right there? While J.D. Vance writing, while Harris and Biden flouted their duties, a bureaucratic bottleneck was delaying the deployment of active duty military personnel to the western mountains of North Carolina. On October 2nd, 6 days after the storm made landfall, the DoD announced 1,000 troops had been authorized to deploy to the response zone, including elements of the 82nd Airborne. These troops bring with them debris clearing, water purification equipment, and so forth. As evening fell on Friday, October 4th, so then 2 days later, fewer than half of the 1,000 troops were actually there conducting operations. It led to the two North Carolina senators issuing a joint statement calling for an active duty military leader who has extensive experience with operations of this magnitude to lead moving forward. In other words, it was calling out DOD and whatever was happening underneath them. Yeah. That finally, then, the other 500 military were deployed by the evening of October 6th, so that's 8 days after. As Vance writes, in disaster response, every second counts. A week went by while the citizens of North Carolina suffered without the equipment and soldiers needed to save lives and begin recovery. And interestingly, he contrasts that, forget even Trump, even with the Obama administration. Even the Obama administration was better at deploying assets in disaster zones. When an earthquake struck Haiti in 2010, it took 2 days to deploy troops, including the 82nd Airborne, from Fort Liberty to help with disaster recovery. They were also these same troops were also more rapidly deployed during the Katrina response, which was criticized at the time for being insufficient. So, I mean, the 82nd Airborne gets to Haiti in 2 days under Obama in 2010. It can't get down the road in North Carolina in 8 days under this administration.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line.
Something else yesterday that is a bit of a problem. I know Kamala is continuing to do her media blitz, and I'm really ecstatic about it because they're really enjoyable.
Howard Stern compared her to a wall, but we'll get to that later.
She was asked about DeSantis responding to her responding about him not responding. If you could follow all that.
Yeah. Remember she was on the tarmac. It's like, he won't pick up the phone. He's not calling me back.
So here's what she said about DeSantis saying, I don't have any need to talk to her. Who's she?
Well, first of all, I have called and talked with, in the course of this crisis, this most recent crisis, Democrat and Republican governors. Called, taken the call, answered the call, had a conversation. So, obviously, this is not an issue that is about partisanship or politics for certain leaders, but maybe is for others. Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that right? So, I mean, what can she do other than stick to the line of attack that somehow she's rising above politics and Ron DeSantis is playing politics? Well, nothing could be further from the truth. And don't take my word for it. And don't take Ron DeSantis' word for it. Take the big guy's word.
The governor of Florida has been cooperative. He said he's gotten all that he needs. I talked to him again yesterday, and I said, no, you're doing a great job. It's all being done well. We thank you for it. And I literally gave my personal phone number to call.
He's got my digits. Take that, Kamala Harris. I mean, that's probably the most honest thing that this man's ever said in his lifetime.
And let this be a lesson to the Harris campaign team. When you don't make sure that Joe Biden is being babysat, he goes off script and says things like that. Unhelpful. Oh, well. Yeah.
Yeah, get your message. And by the way, for the second time this week, Biden has counter-programmed Harris because he was holding a briefing at the White House while she was on The View.
Maybe he's just a little salty still. Maybe it's a little saltiness. Greg and Schaumburg.
Dan, regardless of what happens, we just want you to know that the audience is praying for you and keep us informed of what you need in terms of your area down there and what's ever impacted. Just know that this audience will come through for you.
Oh, thanks, Greg. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I talked to Sean yesterday. I said, because he's staying there. And of course, I called him. I said, I know this is strange, but I'm very worried about you. I think we should have him on the show tomorrow morning because he could stand outside there and give us, because he's not leaving. He's defiant. He's like, this is where men come, Amy. We come to Florida. We don't need any of you crying ladies.
Yeah.
We've got this.
Right.
So, I want to see tough guy Sean
maintain
stand out there.
While you're watching coverage of the hurricane tonight, see if you see a guy with like a hole in the top of his haircut and a cigar floating around Vanderbilt Beach. Let us know, and we'll send the Cajun Navy or whatever the Florida version of that is out there for him. Newt Gingrich had an interesting commentary on this in part yesterday on Sean Hannity's program, talking just about the general incompetence and ineptitude of Kamala Harris. And I thought he nicely summed it up.
She's a doofus. I mean, this is the first doofus nominated for president, at least in my lifetime.
Well, so we have a chance to make history. First doofus ever elected president of the United States. Oh, my God. But another glass ceiling could be broken. George in Naperville.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is the administration that is always praised and, honored by generals as the people to pick for to be our leaders in government. And they're not there when people are in need.
Yeah, where's that General Honore from the Katrina days who complaining about people being stuck on stupid? He hadn't seen anything yet if he thought they were stuck on stupid in New Orleans.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, we'll do a review of Kamala's command performances on Colbert and The View and Stern at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:31 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, everyone. The FBI has arrested an Afghan man who officials say was inspired by ISIS to plot an Election Day attack.
Tawhidi obtained weapons and ammunition to launch this attack, according to the FBI. He arrived in the U.S. in September 2021, days after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan was completed. The Justice Department says, quote, Tawhidi allegedly indicated that his attack was planned for Election Day. In a post-arrest interview, Tawhidi allegedly confirmed the attack was planned for Election Day, targeting large gatherings of people during which he and the juvenile were expected to die as martyrs. Former President Donald Trump warned about something like this after that hasty withdrawal was completed.
The suspect was working with an unnamed juvenile co-conspirator, according to those who made the arrest. Hurricane Milton remains a Category 5 storm. Winds of 160 miles an hour. Spokeswoman Jennifer Crabtree says in spite of the storm surge and winds, Tampa General Hospital will remain open.
We're prepared. We are going to gear up and take care of our patients. We're not going anywhere, and so we're hunkering down, and we're going to manage the storm as it comes.
The latest update from the National Hurricane Center about 10 minutes ago puts the monster storm about 325 miles southwest of Tampa.
It's hard to honestly put into words, you know, because Tampa's been lucky for so long that now it's just like, it's just hard to kind of comprehend, really.
That Tampa woman gassing up her car as others buy groceries and supplies. Many others have heeded evacuation orders. Milton is forecast to make landfall late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning. At a Tuesday briefing, Florida officials expect an unsurvivable 15-foot storm surge.
This is the ocean coming into your living rooms. This is fast rising water with a lot of pressure behind it.
Pinellas County Director of Emergency Management, Kathy Perkins. In other news this morning, Palestinians say a large-scale Israeli operation in northern Gaza has killed and wounded dozens. Meantime, Hezbollah has fired another barrage of rockets into Israel, and the militant group's acting leader vows to keep up pressure. The Supreme Court is considering whether to uphold the Biden administration's ghost gun ban. Arguments Tuesday included Chief Justice John Roberts questioning the argument that building a gun kit was similar to working on a car. Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes on Tuesday authorized restoration of the social media platform X service in Brazil. Mayor Brandon Johnson canceling police academy classes as a cost-saving measure. According to the Sun-Times, the Chicago Police Department will not launch recruit classes for at least 2 months. On WTTW last night, Johnson defended potential staff cuts and going back on a promise not to raise property taxes.
I'm not going to cut and take away, lay off, fire, privatize, so that other people can benefit and the people of the city of Chicago continue to lose. Not under my watch.
One person is in custody after a gun was found at Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago, bringing a SWAT team response. And a man has been charged with murder after 2 men were shot and killed by an employee late Monday night after they got into an argument at a Southwest Side fast food restaurant in the Ashburn neighborhood. Blackhawks lost to Utah to open up the regular NHL season 5-2. The Bulls 116-112 winners over the Cavaliers, and the Fire have a new head coach. Former U.S. men's national team coach Greg Berhalter will become not only the head coach but director of football for the entire club. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of At Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Aid for Women.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT Smart Connected Scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a Balance of Nature now for quite some time. And she said, oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking Balance of Nature. So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, oh, try it.
You know, Balance of Nature is becoming pretty important out there to a lot of people. And when I first started, I was really impressed. I'm a healthcare professional, trained as a pharmacist. So anything that's natural, I like. And so it made a lot of sense.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
5:39 in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center this morning. We're already seeing delays on the outbound Kennedy Expressway. You're jammed up from the Circle out to Madison this morning. Stevenson inbound 26 as you travel into DuSable Lakeshore Drive from 355 on the brakes, Harlem to Cicero. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, paving operations continue overnight into the morning southbound between Hollywood and Lawrence. Traffic is the service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Nice day ahead in your forecast. Sunshine in 72, clear and 54 overnight tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine, high 73. Currently 53 at O'Hare, 41 in Aurora, 45 in Joliet. Your next news update at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the media blitz that Kamala is doing with friendlies to try to whip up excitement among her base voters, particularly on the younger side. She needs a big turnout there, no question about it. I don't think it's going to be enough, but that's what she must do. And so she was doing it on The View and with Colbert and with Howard Stern. I thought there was...
Which one should we start with?
And it's not even which one we should start with. It's the interesting line of attack. So the line of attack on Trump, I mean, it was multivariate, but just in the context of the natural disasters that we've been discussing and the ineffectual response from Biden and Harris. Empathy. We're back to that now. We're back to, she is just effusive in her conveyance of empathy, and it just comes across as so authentic. Whereas Trump is totally lacking.
Lives are literally at stake right now. I traveled to Georgia and to North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. In Georgia, I met a woman who, just days earlier, her husband was killed in their home by a fallen tree.
Yeah.
Days later, I met with her and her daughter. You can imagine the pain, the shock that they are still in about what they experienced, what they witnessed. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about real human beings and their lives and them losing everything. Everything. This woman lost her husband, her child lost her father. People are losing their home with no hope of ever being able to reconstruct or return. And the idea that somebody would be playing political games for the sake of himself, but this is so consistent about Donald Trump. He puts himself before the needs of others. I fear that he really lacks empathy on a very basic level to care about the suffering of other people and then understand the role of a leader is not to beat people down, it's to lift people up. Absolutely.
So profound. Those man-hating shrews on The View were moved.
Such bootlickers
by that statement.
I watched it, so you didn't have to. Every word she said, like, yeah, they're on the edge of their seat. Yes, master, yes, queen. How can we help you?
So the empathy Trump was making about himself, because he was pointing out what essentially the Department of Homeland Security has conceded, not in the same words, but that they're out of cash because they spent $1.5 billion on migrant resettlement the last 2 fiscal years. At least that's in part. The fact that they're spending $4 billion, they spent $4 billion on COVID in September, like last month, September.
Yeah, like last week, September.
Is also interesting. So they're in the business of migrant resettlement and stat padding, because I actually had Dr. Marty Makari on my podcast, which posted yesterday. And we talked a little bit about that, among other things, his new book, Blind Spots, which you've heard us discuss with him on this show, too. So the $4 billion, FEMA is still going around looking for people who died of COVID to provide the $9,000 and change for the funeral expenses. That's
I thought they ended
money
their
is.
Program. That's what the money is?
It goes through 2025.
Oh,
that's what I understand from Makari. So I mean, it's basically the same thing where we started COVID, where if you got in a motorcycle accident and died and you had COVID, you died of COVID. So this is what they're doing now. If you got in a motorcycle accident and died, but you had COVID, then we'll pay for your funeral expenses because you died of COVID. They're out there looking for stat padding opportunities, because the more people who've died of COVID, the more they justify everything that was done during the pandemic. $4 billion in September. It's remarkable. So this is what Trump was talking about, and this is Kamala's response to it. I have empathy for human suffering, and Trump does not. It's interesting because actually Trump was asked to play politics about the impact of Hurricane Helene, and he chose not to.
Say it. I'm not thinking about voters right now. I'm thinking about lives, and to be honest, it's much bigger than anything else, but we're thinking about lives, a lot of lives lost, a lot of people missing, and that's what I'd be focused on right now.
That was a brilliant answer, and I wish Kamala Harris would have heard it.
Well, it's the human answer, but it doesn't matter what his answer is. They're going to make the same accusation, but it's just nice to contrast what she's saying versus what the reality is. So anyway, the lack of empathy. And then she took that in the practice round with The View to late night with Colbert, and she also unveiled a little bit of a new
what?
A little bit of a new rap.
Have empathy, man. For the suffering of other people. Have no sense of purpose.
And
Jamaica man.
After she said, have you no empathy, man, she continued by saying this.
So now you see the light. Hey, stand up for your right. Come on,
Come
get
on.
up, stand up.
Yeah, and everybody had a nice sing-along on Colbert. Yeah.
Wow.
Get up,
Yeah. It was also the Stephen Colbert and his audience also similarly moved, as were the cast members on The View. Trump lacking empathy.
Yeah, it was one moment. Well, one moment that's gone viral is when your girl pal, Sunny Hostin, asked her, in the last 4 years you've been together with Biden, is there anything you would do differently, anything that you would change?
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Well, I could think of a few things. Maybe the deadly withdrawal from Afghanistan. Maybe you'd want to do that differently. I don't know. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
She was given another opportunity to address the same question on Colbert. So she had hours in between to see if she could come up with something, because she sort of later in the show on The View tried to come up with the answer. Oh, I'd appoint a Republican to the cabinet. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Because somebody must have gotten to her and said, that's not exactly the position we're trying to occupy, that you have to show some separation, because as Brett Baer made the point with Ian Sams, one of these Kamala spokeshumans, and this guy's a dead ringer for Moby. Dead ringer. Anyway, Brett Baer put the obvious question to him.
Can't think of anything that comes to mind that she would do differently. The theory was a new way forward and turning the page. How do you do that if you can't think of one thing?
Well, Brett, thanks for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk to your audience tonight. I think later in that same interview, she said actually specifically that she said, one thing that I would have done differently than President Biden has done is I'm committing to appoint a Republican to my cabinet. Right now, there's not a Republican member of the cabinet.
Cheney,
and she
Adam Kinzinger.
explained in her interview with The View that she believes it's very important that we have a broad, diverse view of voices who are advising the president, and that she would, in fact, appoint a Republican to the cabinet. And so I think there are places where she and President Biden may differ. I think she was saying in that answer, as you heard from her, that she is proud to have been part of some major decisions. One of those that comes to mind is the casting the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which capped prescription drug costs for seniors at $2,000 a year and their insulin at $35. So there are some big pieces of progress that she's very proud of from this administration, but obviously she's her own candidate and she's running for the future, and she's talking about her plans as a president.
Yeah.
I mean, during the debate, she was not Joe Biden. And then on The View yesterday, I am Joe Biden. We did the same policies.
It's not great spin from Ian Sams there. So, again, she has the opportunity to do better on Colbert. Same question. And this got, Kamala Painful, which is a certain kind of painful. That's a brand name.
You are a member of the President's administration. Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I
applauding
think it's
for not being
important
Joe
to say
Biden.
with,
What?
28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
You need
So
an
when we
applause
think
sign for
about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country. I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people. You know, we have aspirations, we have dreams, we have incredible work ethic, and I just believe that we can create and build upon the success we've achieved in a way that we continue to grow opportunity, and in that way grow the strength of our nation.
A what now?
Yeah, I don't know, Representative Comer. I don't know what was said. The question was about compare and contrast yourself from Biden, and then we got off into, that nether space that Kamala occupies.
When she was on, real quick though, when she was on with Howard Stern, I watched about 10 minutes of it. It felt like a therapy session. I mean, if Howard Stern could see Howard Stern today from 20 years ago, I don't think he'd recognize himself. And he compared her to a wall, an innate object.
If he wins, God forbid, would you feel safe in this country? Would you stay in this country?
Howard, I'm doing everything I can to make sure he does not win.
And then he later on said, I don't know where that bite went, but he said, well, I could never vote for him. I'd rather vote for a wall.
To make sure that we read this out so people fully assimilate what was said and the difference, how we're turning the page, new way forward, and what distinguishes Kamala from Joe Biden. I am not Biden, and with 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump. If you think about the significance of what the next generation leadership looks like, if were I to be elected president, it's about, frankly, I love the American people. I believe in our country. I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people. We have aspirations. We have dreams. We have incredible work ethic. I just believe that we can create and build upon the success we achieved in a way to continue to grow opportunity. I love Lamp. Peggy in Chicago. Hi, Peggy.
Hi, I just wanted to say I am so hacked. We give money to all these other countries, and now our people are suffering big time. It's going to take us a long time to get our act to fix everything. And I say, any politician that sends any money overseas to anybody is on my they're on my bad list.
Yes,
okay?
your bad list.
And
yes.
I want my people taken care of. I want the people here taken care of. Did you see all the stuff that happened in North Carolina? And all oh my God, it's too horrible to contemplate. And we're going to send money to foreigners? I don't think so.
Thanks for the call,
we already
Peggy.
did without
Appreciate
congressional approval, but yeah. It looks like a war zone out there.
Joe in East Dundee.
Yeah, Dan and Amy, Joe loves you long time. Okay?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, come on now. I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you no empathy, Mon? Yes, right.
Who said it's beyond here?
Yeah, President Shabba ranks. Yeah, right.
And this is the importance of voting early because, it happens, you know.
As Kamala, thanks for the call, Joe. As Kamala Harris might say, get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
Did you see then the cringiness that then they cracked open a beer on the Late Show?
They're fun.
Before she left.
Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and thanks a lot for taking my call. That's comment about Kamala Harris. Trump didn't, there's no Republicans. I'll put a Republican on the thing. She's so full of it. she wants to go grab some of these super rhinos like a Liz Cheney or a Kinzinger or something like that, so she can get some more help going after Trump people and that. And
of course, I mean, of course. It's just a mascot. I mean, that's the mascot politics left plays. I mean, does anybody in this country remember Bill Clinton? Was I the only one who lived through the Clinton years? He pulls Bill Cohen from Maine to be his Secretary of Defense to show how he's a new Democrat. And I mean, compared to today, I guess he would have been. But I mean, it's just all facade. It's all just mascotting. It's not serious. It's not substantive. Oh, we want a great diversity of voice. We want Doris Kearns Goodwin. We want a team of rivals like Lincoln. It's a bunch of nonsense, especially with the new Bolshevik Party of 2024. I mean, it's not even worth talking about what Republican would it be, but it's just a misdirection play. That's the only thing she can think of to distinguish herself from Biden. Of course, because she's in a trap. She's in a trap. And Newt Gingrich sussed this out very well on Hannity last night.
Well, look, she has three really big problems. First, she's just not very competent. I mean, you're watching somebody who ought to be like in a high school play, and she's on a national TV as a candidate. She can't move at the speed and with the knowledge you expect. Second, we're in a world that's dangerous. It's dangerous with hurricanes. It's dangerous with the war in the Middle East. It's dangerous in Ukraine. It's dangerous with Venezuelan criminal gangs coming to the U.S. And that kind of a dangerous environment, people want someone strong. I thought DeSantis, for example, if you compare his press conference with her normal experience, DeSantis looks like he's competent. He looks like he knows what he's doing. So her very being hurts her. And then third, she has this huge crisis. Everything her base believes in, the country hates. And so she has to be for men, for example, competing with women. The country's totally opposed to that. She can't be for school choice. The teachers' unions won't let her. And you go to a whole series of issues. So she does this dance because if she's really clear, one of two things will happen. The country will wipe her out or her base will rebel. And so she can never be honest about who she is. Those three things are all coming together in what I think is maybe the most disastrous TV series ever done by a presidential candidate.
Wow. And I will tell you this. That's 60 Minutes, and I complimented Bill Whitaker. Shame on me. They took out the question about BBB and about Israel. They didn't put that in Sunday's or in Monday night's edition. They left that on the cutting room floor. And if you watch the interview, unedited interview, she has very long pauses between the question and the answer.
Yeah, well, that's
people need to check that out.
Well,
so I'm glad Trump didn't go on it. Also, because Leslie Stahl
running to be the first doofus ever elected president, as Gingrich said. But that key point is she's trapped, and unlike Obama, as I said yesterday, she doesn't have the chops to pull this off. She just doesn't. And every interview that she gives reminds anybody that is, at all connected to reality that this is just not even a close call. There's just no way this person is qualified for this post.
We didn't get to the slumber party stand. Maybe for Open Mic Friday, because it was cringy. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, Teamsters boss Sean O'Brien has a message for the GOP and for the Dems, too, 6:06.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The Illinois Attorney General sues TikTok. Jury selection is underway in the Madigan trial. Revoking some Illinois license plates is on the docket for Secretary of State Alexei Janulius.
Milton is still a Category 5 monster. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The hurricane packs 160-mile-an-hour max winds.
Don't, focus on the number. 5, 4, even a strong 3. The storm surge is going to remain the same. The energy with the storm is actually going to expand and affect a lot more real estate.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. Milton barreling toward Florida's west coast. A lot of people have evacuated, leaving many gas stations empty from the Fort Myers area up to the Tampa region. Fox's Evan Brown reports.
Tampa Bay might get nearly 15 feet of storm surge, courtesy of Hurricane Milton, but a slightly more southward move means the Sarasota area could get it instead. Fred Shu's home in Siesta Key already got flooded with a few feet of water during Hurricane Helene. He is not staying.
This tree may fall and squish the house. So there may be nothing, or it just may end up, I think best case scenario is 5 to 6 to 8 feet of water inside.
The storm could hit tonight into tomorrow. An Afghan national busted 4 weeks before the election in Oklahoma.
27-year-old Nasir Tawhidi obtained weapons and ammunition to launch this attack, according to the FBI. He arrived in the U.S. in September 2021, days after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan was completed. The Justice Department says, quote, Tawhidi allegedly indicated that his attack was planned for Election Day.
As Fox's Lucas Tomlinson, Vice President Harris had high-profile media interviews. Asked on The View on ABC if she'd have done anything different than President Biden.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Former President Trump will hold a rally tonight in Pennsylvania. An icon is gone in Las Vegas. It was about an hour and a half ago when they imploded the Tropicana, a hotel that opened 67 years ago, brought down in seconds, leaving a giant plume of dust. They plan to build a Major League Baseball stadium there. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Here are the stories we are following on WIND Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson is canceling police academy classes as a cost-saving measure. Sun Times says the Chicago Police Department will not launch recruit classes for at least 2 months. On WTTW last night, Johnson defended potential staff cuts and going back on a promise not to raise property taxes that may come in the next month.
I'm not going to cut and take away, lay off, fire, privatize, so that other people can benefit and the people of the city of Chicago continue to lose. Not under my watch.
Johnson blamed the current Chicago public school turmoil on previous administrations. A man charged with murder after 2 men were shot and killed by an employee late Monday night after they got into an argument at a Southwest Side fast food restaurant. Madi Medellil, a 42-year-old man from the South Side, was charged with 2 felony counts of first-degree murder Tuesday. A Cook County jury convicts a man of murder in the killing of an off-duty Chicago police officer in 2019. Manelik Jackson was found guilty yesterday in the deadly shooting of Officer John Rivera following a jury trial that began last week. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul is suing TikTok.
We further allege that TikTok deliberately and successfully targets its addictive product to minors despite knowing the potential for serious harm, including sleep deprivation, depression, anxiety, self-harm, and even suicide.
13 other states have filed separate lawsuits against TikTok. A Kankakee man will spend time in prison for trying to obtain fentanyl through the mail. Javon Thompson was sentenced to 10 years behind bars, pleading guilty to drug charges in June. Authorities intercepted a parcel destined for Thompson that contained thousands of fentanyl-laced pills and several hundred grams of cocaine. Blackhawks lost to Utah 5-2. Bulls in the NBA preseason topping the Cavaliers 116-112. Baseball, the Mets beat the Phillies in the playoffs while Fernando Tatis blasted a 2-run home run in a San Diego win over the Dodgers. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, feel better for a few hours only to have the pain return and then repeat the cycle all over again, it's time to try Relief Factor. And the good news is, Relief Factor makes that easy. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it. How? Well, its unique formula of ingredients helps support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by doctors. It's 100% drug-free, and for so many people, the results are game-changing, even life-changing. So give it a try. Right now, their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. See how in a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So don't mask pain. Fight it naturally with Relief Factor.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is a service of Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code CHICAGO. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Promo code CHICAGO. Hurry, offer ends soon. Kennedy, 35 already. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Inbound Ike, all jammed up between Wolf and First Avenue due to a much earlier accident. Outbound on the Ike, an accident at the Tri-State. I-57 in the Bishop Ford, already heavy and slow into the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, it'll be a nice day. A high today at 72. Clear tonight, low 54. And then sunny tomorrow, the high 73. Partly sunny, breezy day Friday. A little bit warmer, the high Friday afternoon, reaching 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
53 at O'Hare, 54 Midway, 41 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yeah, one of the reasons I'm just continue to be unusually confident about Trump's prospects on November 5th. Again, we talked a little bit with that pollster from Larry Sabato's shop yesterday, and I was not satisfied. I mean, it's it's not his fault per se, but I'm just not satisfied with the explanations that attempt to make sense of polling that suggests even though Trump is doubling his percentage of the black vote in most of these polls, even though he's performing better than he did in 2020 with Latino voters, even though he's increased his spread among non-college educated, which is about 60% of the likely voters, somehow he's still down. And even with turnout models that you can't really anticipate will be similar to what they were in 2020 because you don't have 60 million absentee ballots being preemptively mailed out, for example. And some of the other conveniences, if you will, like Zucker boxes and so forth in most places. And things have been tightened up in a number of states that are battleground states.
He just has to win Pennsylvania.
But I mean, so it doesn't make sense to me, given those numbers. That and you've seen the headlines over the last couple of days, I'm sure. You know, Kamala Harris campaign struggling with union voters. Well, I mean, and that's reflective of the non-college educated spread that Trump enjoys. Yeah, now she's increased her margin among college educated by a couple of points from where Biden was in 2020, but that just doesn't offset. It doesn't offset the increases that Trump has achieved across these various electoral cohorts. So it just it feels like sort of what Gingrich was saying, a clip we played at the end of the last hour, where this is shaping up to be potentially a historic repudiation, the combination of what Trump is doing, what the Biden-Harris administration has done, and the general ineptitude of Kamala Harris, which just screams at you every time she does an interview, which she still feels compelled to do, or the campaign does, because she's got to generate excitement and turnout in her base of Daffy, View, Colbert, and Howard watchers and Howard Stern listeners, which is what she was doing yesterday. While also appearing serious and presidential for the college-educated set, which she tried to do on 60 Minutes and spectacularly failed. And it was interesting. So just thinking about this, I watched a little bit of the Sean O'Brien interview on Theo Vaughn's podcast. Some of these podcasts are just totally inexplicable to me.
Everybody has a podcast.
Yeah, I know, but some of them that are popular, like Theo Vaughn's, are just... I mean, I guess you get good guests, and it doesn't matter how inane the conversation is. Okay. Selling to the masses, I suppose. Anyway, I digress. Sean O'Brien talking about, and this is such a classic trade. I mean, I'll throw the Teamsters in with the trade unions. This is such a classic trade union dichotomy, this paradox of a lot of these trade unions, particularly from their leadership. The rank and file of these trade unions, which are generally supporting Trump, they're much more consistent. But the politicians, and that's what Sean O'Brien is. That's what these union bosses are. They're politicians,
right?
It's hard to make heads or tails of exactly what they want, other than just what the teachers union wants in Chicago, which is just turn over a blank check, we'll fill it in, and leave us to our own devices. Yeah, well, that's not exactly how it has to work. But anyway, Sean O'Brien on this moment, since he spoke at the RNC and since they're doing a no endorse for president, where there's this opportunity for the Republican Party to formalize itself as the party of the working man.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a Democrat, but they have f***ed us over for the last 40 years, and for once, and not all of them, but for once, we're standing up as a union, probably the only one right now, saying, what the f*** have you done for us?
Yeah.
And I'm getting attacked from the left, and we've given, since I've been in office 2.5 years, we've given the Democratic machine $15.7 million. We've given Republicans about $340,000, truth be told. So it's like, people say the Democratic Party is the party of the working people. They're bought and paid for by big tech. Those big tech companies.
Yeah, tech is the new fossil fuel, man.
Right?
That's what I say.
Right, and
tech
you've got the Republicans who are now saying, hey, we want to be the working class party, right? And Okay, you've got a great opportunity right now to do that. And the Democrats, if 60% of our members aren't supporting you, the system's broken. Yeah. You needed to fix it. Stop pointing fingers at Sean O'Brien. Stop pointing fingers at the Teamsters Union. Look in the mirror. I mean, I had a heated discussion 2 weeks ago with Chuck Schumer, and it got ugly.
Chuck Schumer is a piece of
and it got ugly because, these politicians, the one thing I've learned, they walk in and they tell you, I did this for you. Okay, great. Let me tell you what you haven't done for us or our members.
Oh, wow.
And we got into it pretty heavy. And I'm like, you had no problem taking $550,000 from me 3 weeks prior to me going on the Republican National Convention. And then you want to be a tough guy on Twitter or X or whatever it is and throw shit out there about me? Like, whatever.
Not exactly.
Wow.
Not exactly an Oxford Union discussion from Theo Vaughn and Sean O'Brien, but nonetheless, the point is well taken. Here's the problem with the Sean O'Briens of the world. I mean, there are many, but here's one of them, just from what you've heard. The Democrats have been effing us over for 40 years. I'm a Democrat. The Democrats have been effing us over for 40 years. Don't point fingers. Look in the mirror. We've given them $15 million since I've been the Teamsters president, and the Republicans $350,000. I gave Chuck Schumer $500,000 a couple weeks before I spoke before the convention. But we're doing a non-endorse for president, so we're pretending we're Switzerland. Well, I'm still representing my union membership. That's a supermajority for Trump, according to their own internal polling, as he sort of referenced. Because I'm still backing them because I'm telling Democrats to look in the mirror. What? That is almost about that is like Kamala logic from Sean O'Brien, and you get it from a lot of these union bosses. And I was talking to a couple of plumbing contractors over the weekend at a little golf event, and they totally get it. And you talk to rank and file operating engineers, whatever. They totally get it. But the problem is at some point, if your leadership doesn't get it, it's much like we talk about, there's some teachers that they didn't like Karen Lewis or they don't like Stacey Davis Gates. Yeah, well, that's the leadership you selected, and overwhelmingly. So it's very much like your representatives in public office. At some point, if your leaders are so disconnected from your viewpoints and your interests, then you got to do a better job of selecting your leaders, or I don't have much empathy for you, right? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, and text line. So it's like, there's this, and also, too, this opportunity of the Republicans to be the party of the working man. It's fine. I don't want to be the party of the country club set.
But we used to be. Like, it flip-flopped, and I'll never forget the day that I realized that it flip-flopped. I saw my first Tesla, the SUV one, where the doors open up like this to the side. And she had 2 Obama stickers on the back of her car.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, oh, it's over. And I was driving my hobo ride.
But I mean, but you don't just totally lay prone and, turn over yourself to these guys like Sean O'Brien. This has to be a relationship, and it should be, Sean O'Brien speaks plainly, and that's fine by me. Needs to be speaking plainly to him, not threatening. Nobody's trying to be a tough guy, and I'm not impressed with his tough guy routine either, because he does it as well. But
he does it well, though.
Speak plainly about where the lines are drawn and how we're going to go about representing your members' interests, but it's not going to be blank checks and stifling competition. You don't have to bend over like Republicans are wont to do in order to generate union support. At least not the trade unions. Government unions is a different story, and that's what Republicans have done in this state, which is why they have ceased to exist as a party. Tom in Blue Island.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Dan, you're the first host I've heard that has come up with that equation. We hear Trump is doing better with Hispanics. Trump is doing better with black men. Trump is doing better with the non-college educated. Trump is doing better with disaffected voters. Yet somehow this race is ostensibly still a tie. That math just doesn't work out. And Amy tossed in Pennsylvania, which is the only state I hear about It's if Trump doesn't win Pennsylvania, he can't win. Well, Trump's doing better with all these groups. Why can't he win Virginia? Why can't he win Minnesota? Why can't he win Nevada? Why can't he win Colorado? It seems to me all those states are in play. And the only question I'd ask, Dan, is you mentioned 60 million mail-in votes that were sent in 2020. I'm just wondering if there's any kind of idea of how many are going to be sent out this year.
Well, COVID. We're out of COVID.
Thanks for the call time. Well, I mean, you have to look at it state by state, and people tracking how many absentee ballots have been sent out, per request. That's the difference this time around, as opposed to just preemptively drop shipping them like leaflets over Baghdad. I mean, that's the difference here. But so you're looking. I mean, we talked about it in the context of Carolina. The 400,000 have been sent out, 100,000 have been returned, that sort of thing. So it's something to monitor. And the early returns on voter registration, actually, in a lot of these states are pretty good, too, and favorable to Republicans. I'm not saying this is going to be Reagan-Mondale, but the way this is tracking, the way it feels to me, based on these numbers they're getting back, I mean, is a 40 states swamping out of the realm of possibility? I don't think so. The more Kamala keeps talking, the more confident I get.
Talk. Yep. Keep going on those brain dead shows.
Rich in Indian Head Park.
Hey, good morning, gang. Good morning, Amy. If Sean O'Brien is so concerned about being screwed over for the last 40 years and he wants to set the record straight, why doesn't he just go out and endorse Trump? That would make the Democrats think a little bit more how they treat people.
Thanks for the call, Rich. Well, look, I understand it's a process. I mean, it's like we talk about trying to move minority voters en masse. And, you have to get them to neutral first before you can get them completely over. For most people, they don't do a 180. They're not like Kamala Harris because they're just, who's doing things for expedience reasons. They've been locked in for a long time. A lot of people have been locked in for a long time. So first you have to move them off and get them to neutral. And that's sort of where Sean O'Brien is. And then you can get them over by continuing to work on the relationship and prove up that you are people of your word and that you are going to do or endeavor to do those things that you said, and you're going to be forthright with people that you're seeking, for whom the support you're seeking from them. So I get that, but I think you do need to challenge Sean O'Brien. Theo Vaughn is not exactly well equipped to do this, but I think you do need to challenge Sean O'Brien's rhetoric and say, okay, Sean, let me just follow this thread. I'm glad you're moving. I'm glad you spoke at the RNC. I'm glad you've moved to neutral. Now, work your own logic. 4 decades, and this is what you've done as president.
Right. He's answering his own question.
And is that an apology you're offering? Is that the signal of a course correction? Or, why are you telling me this? You just gave Chuck Schumer $500,000 to try and elect Bolsheviks to the Senate and keep the Bolsheviks there that you said have screwed you over 40 years. So help me understand the logic here. Or are you telegraphing that Sean O'Brien and the Teamsters are going to be in a different place after 2024?
Firefighters Union's also not making an endorsement this year.
I know. Then
350,000 members, emergency medical workers, and they've decided not to endorse a candidate.
And that was that's surprising. That hurts too, because the Firefighters Union is awful. I mean, again, the disconnect between rank and file firefighters. The Firefighters Union here, like, for example, Chicago and Illinois, I mean, they might as well be the teachers union in terms of their political behavior. Jim in LaGrange.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I think there's a groundswell of support for Trump that's just not being reported, and I think you're right over the target. My nephew's a union member for a local here in Chicago. They had a general meeting, and one of the older gentlemen went up to the podium and spoke and supported Trump, and they threw him physically out of the meeting, and they told everybody that they better be voting the way that they're telling them to vote. It's just amazing what's going on behind the scenes. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, I don't know. Things have deteriorated in this country. That the only hedge is that we're not in the same place we were 20 or 40 years ago. The culture has devolved considerably in that time frame. The quality of K through 12 education has as well. So that means the quality of the gravitas of the electorate. But I just think sort of instinctively, a majority of people have to see this ruse for what it is, plainly. And it's just not, there's just, it doesn't have the feel of a make herstory kind of moment that's whipping people into a frenzy. And as Gingrich said, too, against the backdrop of a very dangerous world that we're seeing play out in real time with natural disasters as well as man-made ones.
Yeah, and I honestly think October 7th would have never happened if Trump was in office, because he would not have released sanctions to Iran, and Iran funded Hamas, who then bought weapons and killed thousands of Jewish people.
Well, the other thing that we've seen over the course of the same 20 to 40 years that the culture has devolved and these institutions have been taken over by the left is how poorly these institutions perform when you need them.
Yeah, like FEMA right now when people are in need, and people are still missing. And I don't care whatever bull jive you hear, like, oh no, FEMA's on the ground, we're there, we're helping people. There are still people who are missing and who are trapped. Okay?
Yeah, and
thank God for social media, because you can hear from the people themselves.
And when you have, for example, a U.S. Army Chinook helicopter drop chainsaws into Little Switzerland, North Carolina to help the people, but those chainsaws are electric for a town that doesn't have power, you start to lose some confidence in your government, I'm just saying.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Dan Proft here for my friends at Low T Center. If you're frequently tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard treatments. For established patients, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored at-home treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month, so there's no need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, he's doing it. Mayor Johnson defunding the police. He's canceling police academy classes.
Yeah, see, he can cut spending.
Yeah.
6:36 with Alderman Ray Lopez.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
53 degrees at 6:31 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Hurricane Milton turning closer to the west coast of Florida. Some residents are insisting they will ride it out. Sarasota County Sheriff Kurt Hoffman.
Just by the number of cars on the highway, the lack of people out on some of our barrier islands, people are heeding the warnings. And I think because they realize it is going to be a deadly storm.
FEMA's Keith Turry is warning Florida residents to take the hurricane seriously.
Unfortunately, there are always folks that don't take those orders seriously, and unfortunately, in almost every one of these storms, we do see loss of life.
This man who stopped in Savannah, Georgia, says it's his first time evacuating for a hurricane.
Right now, I think the hardest part is going to be the not knowing. Normally, we're there, so we see what's happening. We see damage that's happened. Last time, we were able to help some neighbors that had trees that had fallen down, fences that had fallen down.
The death toll from Hurricane Helene is climbing close to 100 in North Carolina. Nearly half of those were in Buncombe County. Emergency crews are still trying to contact missing people. An Afghan national arrested by the FBI, charged for conspiring to conduct an Election Day terror attack. With details, Fox's Kristen Goodwin.
The Justice Department charging Nasir Ahmad Tawhidi to ISIS and of obtaining firearms and ammunition to conduct a violent attack on U.S. soil in the name of ISIS. The 27-year-old, who is a citizen of Afghanistan, has been living in Oklahoma City. Officials say he and a juvenile were arrested in Oklahoma after unknowingly meeting with FBI assets to purchase 2 AK-47 assault rifles, 10 magazines, and 500 rounds of ammunition. According to the complaint, he later confirmed the attack was planned for Election Day, aimed at targeting large crowds during which he and the juvenile were expected to die as martyrs. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Palestinians say a large-scale Israeli operation in northern Gaza has killed dozens. Heavy fighting is underway. Israel warned people nearby to evacuate. NVIDIA is passing Microsoft as the world's second most valuable company. The AI firm saw its stock rally this week to reach a market cap of nearly $3.19 trillion. Mayor Brandon Johnson canceling police academy classes as a cost-saving measure. The cancellation comes as Johnson is struggling to close a $223 million budget gap. One person is in custody after a gun was found at Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. SWAT teams responded. One person was arrested without incident. A gun was recovered. Jury selection underway in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. A questionnaire was issued to dozens of potential jurors yesterday. St. Xavier University professor David Parker says the trial likely will not end before mid-December.
The trial is anticipated to take maybe about 10 weeks with over 50 witnesses maybe.
The judge in the case tentatively set October 15 for opening statements. Blackhawks lost to Utah in their NHL regular season opener 5-2, while the Bulls in the preseason beat Cleveland 116-112. Behind 21 from Kobe White. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Michael Alfaro Radio Show, Woodland Windows and Doors, and and by quick delivery service.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. Imagine 9 days basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. We'll cruise in the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, and more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before spaces run out by calling 855-565-5519 or online at pragercruise.com.
AM 560 listeners, sign up today to receive a free financial education video series, The 5 Retirement Pitfalls and How to Avoid Them, courtesy of Steve Shyman, host of Protecting Your Assets radio show, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Sign up is easy, and the 5-part video series is completely free and will arrive in your email inbox. Sign up today. It's free. Please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283. Again, please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE, Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
During Cybersecurity Awareness Month, LifeLock wants to give you helpful tips to protect your identity. Using multi-factor authentication can be a line of defense to help protect your personal information. But LifeLock offers comprehensive protection against identity theft. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes issues that arise, guaranteed or your money back. Protect your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my name, Clay, as the promo code. Terms apply.
Longing for thick, healthy, gorgeous hair? Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume from New Nordic.
6:37. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is a service of Robert Half. Managers are having difficulty hiring, but Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals utilize award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Eden's 43 heavy minutes. Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy already at an hour 11. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. All due to an earlier accident. The Eisenhower is at 60 minutes, 390, into the old post office. Your jammed up Wolf all the way to First Avenue. Dan Ryan check in. Right now 23 into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Abundant sunshine today, high 72, clear and 54 overnight, 73 tomorrow. 53 at O'Hare, 41 in Aurora, 41 Kankakee, 48 in Romeoville, 54 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I don't know who this chick is, but I'm starting to enjoy Jessica Jackson's appearances at public comment time at the Chicago City Council. She's this black woman who excoriated the City Council a while back about the spend on migrants as compared to the spend on legal residents and American citizens living in Chicago. Well, she's at it again, and I don't even really know what she's talking about, and I don't really care because she just goes chapter and verse calling out different alderhumans by name with a little commentary on each as she is haranguing the members of the City Council present for her speechifying.
Stand up right now. Okay. Scan the room. Scan the room right now. Scan the room. Scan the room. Scan the room, Blakemore. Scan the room. Zoe, get right here. right here. Scan the room. Scan the room. Put it on YouTube. We getting ready to make this go viral. This is Chicago. This is Chicago City Council. This is how they show up. This is how they ignore the citizens. This is how they break the law. And then they want to turn around and make like we are wrong for not supporting the Democratic Party. But this is what the Democratic Party looks like in the city of Chicago. Doing public speaking. They don't show up for a quorum. They on their cell phones. That's Jasmine Yancey right there, who's trying to sell out South Shore to super low income condos to make the city look like the projects. Okay? Now you got Conway. Is that Conway or Conway? Conway over there on his laptop because he ain't worried about a thing. He a rich white boy. Okay? And then you got Talaferro.
My favorite right
and you
there.
got Cardona right there. Okay? I'm hoping that they paying attention. Talaferro, I want my rights protected with my case. I trusted you and some other people, and I believe that you try to do the right thing. But you are in a corrupt situation. Get that light bulb head, Richard Rodriguez. See, looking like a Chucky doll. See how he has no respect for the citizens. Y'all want to be famous? Y'all want to be famous? Let's make them famous. There go Raymond Lopez.
Yeah, and she brought a chorus along with her. The Conway, the obnoxious Billy Conway, the
Rich white kid.
I look at him on his laptop. He doesn't care about a thing. He's a rich white boy. I wonder if Ray Lopez has ever engendered the ire of one Jessica Jackson.
Well, she was about to say, and she said his name, but then we cut it off. I don't know what she said.
I want to hear Ray Lopez's characterization of it. Alderman Lopez, 15th Ward Alderman, joins us now. Ray, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, good morning. And yes, she was about to commend me for reading and so that I know what was going on that day. So.
Very good.
Okay.
So you're on the good side of Jessica Jackson, which is probably the better place to stay, based on what I heard. Yeah. Interesting. So we got the news yesterday that Brandon Johnson knows how to cut spending. I don't know where people are getting off calling him a spendthrift. He is proposing cutting $75 million from the police department, canceling 2 months of police academy classes, and ordering some layoffs to tighten the belt here. I mean, that's the sort of fiscal leadership the city needs.
Yeah, hold on to your seats there with this brainchild of his, because not only has he revealed himself to be a hypocrite, but he's also a liar. Because he had promised the city council members that he was not going to allow the budget freeze to impact public safety with any kind of cuts or freezes in hiring in both the police and fire department, both departments which are down employees, by the way. And he has changed his mind and feels that that's going to be what is necessary to plug the $1 billion budget gap in the city of Chicago, all the while maintaining his 167-member police detail to protect him and his family on the west side.
Oh, my God. Are they traveling with him to London, too, when he leaves to go watch the Bears game?
He's on a business trip.
Oh, no, he's not. Hey, do you know what business is he's going to try and court in jolly old England?
Well, I'm sure it's not going to be a restaurant or food cuisine that he's going to bring here, some English restaurant that's going to want to serve any of our high taxes or the smash and grab mentality that we've seen over the past several years here in the city of Chicago. Call it for what it is. It's a nice junket to London so that he and his family can go enjoy a game and then pretend to have a meeting with somebody out there who probably doesn't know anything about where Chicago is, let alone what we have to offer here.
I hope he has time for the fish and chips, to get to maybe see Churchill's bunker from World War II, Big Ben, the whole thing.
Yeah, sure.
The budget deficit that you speak of, I mean, can't he just call like Ali G to call Josh Durango and get one of those juice loans and just tighten up the city that way?
What do you think we are, CPS?
Hey-oh. Speaking of CPS, I know. Oh, well, answer the question first. There.
Well, let me just say this. The problem that we have, both in the city of Chicago and in CPS for that matter, is that both government entities, and they are two separate, distinct entities,
are
trying to normalize the spending that had happened during COVID when we had billions of dollars infused into our coffers from the federal government. Now they want to institutionalize all those jobs that were created, normalize all those positions, and shift the burden of funding them to the Chicago taxpayers. And many of us do not agree with that. I, for one, have said let's go back to our pandemic budgets of $12 billion, because that is more in line with where we should be in terms of revenue and other things, and not just borrow for the sake of borrowing so that we can keep the payrolls fat and the productivity low.
But those COVID funds we use to help migrants, to help the illegals.
Well, in a backdoor fashion, yes, because everything that we, in fact, had money for, we reimbursed ourselves, and rather than save that money, save those savings, or do something constructive like, pay down the $35 billion in debt we have, we put it towards taking care of the federal government's responsibility for all these asylum seekers that wound up at our doorstep. 49,000 of which we spent $1.3 billion on last year.
Right, including repurposing unspent COVID funds.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so today you guys are going to have a meeting about him replacing, for the second time now, all the school board members. And here's Johnson's reaction to that.
The governor of Florida has
Oh, that's not it. Hold on.
Here
The city council can have as many hearings as they want. There's only one person who has the authority by state law to make appointments. Who is that? And that's the mayor of Chicago, and that's me.
Your response?
Well, I think the better part to that very chaotic press conference where he was exceedingly condescending to all women reporters is the fact that Mayor Brandon Johnson, in that moment, decided to label anyone who believes in fiscal responsibility as basically a slave owner descendant from the Confederacy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where he gets off making such an outrageous comment. Emancipation Proclamation happened 161 years ago. 6 decades later, my family arrived in this country, and I don't understand how anyone could dare equate me with the slave owners before the Civil War. That's just a desperate attempt to deflect from this power grab, which serves not the students, but only serves the CTU because you stack the deck to give them the most favorable contract-friendly board possible, to take out the $300 million short-term loan to solidify their 1 year's worth of requests, and to fire the only man in the building who stood in the way of doing that, which was Pedro Martinez.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Confederate slave owner thing, I mean, all of this stuff, it ends up just being, one hustle in response to another one, it seems to me. I just don't see where there is some sort of break coming, some sort of moment. Until and unless, say, a pension fund like the police or fire pension fund collapses. I just don't see that there's like much public engagement, meaning residents of Chicago outside of Jessica Jackson, and and even
Zoe Lay, she does another one.
Yeah, and even you're outspoken, but even among the aldermen, and even among the aldermen who are going to roll their eyes when he does his race hustling thing about Confederate slave owners and so forth. It's just all standard fare. I just think that the whole city is inured to it.
Well, I think the I'm a black man argument, you're the descendants of the Confederacy argument, that's all geared towards one group.
Yeah.
And that's the scared white liberals of North Shore, Lincoln Park, that area that support him, and he's basically telling them, don't get any ideas of trying to challenge me. We've seen where some of those state reps who helped create the elected school board have stood up, like Representative Ann Williams, and said, you know what, depending on how you act in the next few days, we may have to look at statewide action to address CPS. And this is what brought on this tirade, because he's being challenged now because individuals see that there's a madness at City Hall that's infecting other governmental units, and they're trying to figure out how do we pull back on some of this. Maybe they went too far. And I think that you're going to see more and more pushback from Springfield.
Yeah.
The more the mayor and his socialists keep poking the bear, because that's what they're doing right now. The Byron Citro Lopez's and Carlos's of the world, trying to pick a fight with Springfield as though that's going to give them the $1 billion they need to make this happen, and it's not going to. It's going to backfire completely.
A bit. I mean, do you think that an elected school board is going to materially change CPS?
I think that it is a step in the right direction. It was a good intention, but I think that unless you have candidates who fully understand what the responsibilities are of a $10 billion operation and are not just there to be pawns for the narrative, it could be more destructive than positive. Absolutely. One of the board members that the mayor just appointed, Olga Batista, is one of those environmental justice warriors from the southeast side who literally now has the city of Chicago, because of their efforts to shut down General Iron, tied up in a $100 million lawsuit against the Chicago taxpayers for what they did to that company. That's a mindset that we're in danger of bringing to education now.
And Deborah Pope, she's a CTU member, and then Pastor Johnson, he was a lawyer in Ohio who's been disbarred. So I don't know what kind of vetting Mayor Johnson said that was doing or that has been done in order for these people to be on the school board.
The same kind of vetting that's done at the border. So here's the thing. Just the culture in Chicago. I mean, Gary Saul Morrison, who's a professor at Northwestern, makes this point about people who consider themselves victims, like permanent. I'm a permanent victim of society, and who then gain political power. They rule from a place of vengeance. And that's what we had with Lightfoot, in my estimation. That's what we're seeing with Brandon Johnson. That's what we're seeing with a lot of politicians up and down the food chain in Chicago and Illinois. They've been convinced that they're lifelong victims because of their identitarian score, and they rule from a place of vengeance. And you just hear it in the rhetoric that comes forward from the Lightfoots and the Brandon Johnsons. So how do you... Yeah, it seems to me that that's where, and I know that's not your posture, but it seems to me that's what has to change. That message to the neighborhoods into these wards by the aldermen and others, that's what has to change. Just stop it. This is getting not only is it getting us nowhere, it's getting you into corners from which you cannot escape.
Well, it's putting you in a box that can quite literally kill you. As we've seen with the ShotSpotter conversation, where it was the politics over public safety mindset simply so that they could keep a campaign promise, even though we know that lives, those black and brown lives that I constantly hear about, are going to be the ones most impacted. The fact of the matter is that sane members of government need to learn how to push back on this narration that the victim is always in the right, that, this victimhood, even though people have never been a part of it personally, needs to be something that you need to push back on. Look, we know that there's things in our past that are wrong, and we should address them, and we should confront them. But unless you were directly impacted, you don't get to claim that as your mantle, as we see constantly by so many who use them as their talking points for the justification, not only of impacting public safety or education, but now property and housing, as we're seeing on the Northwest side, where the socialists were able to sneak through an ordinance that literally is going to take property away from people unless they sell it to their rental properties away from landlords, unless they sell it to their tenant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Where did we come to this point of pseudo-communism here in the city of Chicago? We need to come up with better messaging because they have their message, and sanity needs to create its own as well.
Yeah. Do you think Brandon Johnson's done? I mean, his approval ratings are in the low 20s, but this move that he just made, is that the nail in the coffin?
I think there were several, but I will say this. I mean, like an animal that's been backed into a corner, like that's going to just come out crazy and rabid. That's how I feel the mayor, his allies, and the CTU are going to be over the next 26 months, because they know that their approval rating is tanked, that they will never again, even their own allies admit, they will never again win or have control of city government. And right now we are in the smash and grab season of politics, with everyone trying to get what they can before they're shown the door.
Yeah, I mean, it's and even if Brandon Johnson were done, which is almost
Still
3 years,
26 months away.
Yeah, right.
How many more months away?
2 years in the offing. I mean, even if that were the case, so then what comes next? I mean, it seems to me that the focus, Brandon Johnson is a symptom of the problem, just as Lori Lightfoot was, and what you were getting at before, like these I would call them noxious lakefront leftist honkies. It seems to me like there needs to be some challenging going on that's directed at the city. What kind of city do you want to live in? This is what you are platforming, and we're going to and hold you publicly, at least morally and electorally, responsible. I just think the conversation needs to shift where it's not navel-gazing politicians or politicians fighting over fiefdoms, and it needs to really be challenging and even calling out segments of Chicago's creme de la creme.
And I think that's the challenge that we have, right? Because our knee-jerk reaction, my husband and I were just talking about this, our knee-jerk reaction is to get angry at Brendan Johnson, to get angry at his enablers. But that's not going to solve our problem right now because we can't get rid of them, and you're stuck with them. Right. So let's start focusing on where we need to go post-Brendan Johnson, where we need to go in order to have the Chicago that we all can be proud of again and aspire to have people want to be a part of. That should be what our focus is, and just keep pushing on that, because I think in the end, the messaging that comes from the Brandon Johnson socialist clique will falter under its own weight of the weight of its own stupidity.
Yeah,
we need to be prepared to show a different vision for Chicago and be willing to articulate and fight for that. And even if we lose, so be it. But people will notice, and people will want to be a part of something better than to be reminded that they're constantly the victim, that the man's constantly coming after him, that there's all these problems that nobody has a solution for.
Yeah,
we need to be the group of solutions.
Absolutely, and also, I mean, it's a combination. There's a shame piece of this that's I think is really important. And so it's going to the City Club or the Economic Club or Chicagoland Chamber luncheon and saying, here are the solutions, and what the hell is wrong with you people?
Absolutely, and we've gotten a taste of that, Dan, already. When you saw the mailers that came out across 50 wards talking about certain aldermen's efforts to decarbonize Chicago and electrify Chicago homes, that ultimately would have cost residents, $1,500 to $2,000 more in utility bills. Aldermen thought that was a great idea until the mailers arrived in their constituents' mailboxes, blasting them for their votes. And now all of a sudden, many of my colleagues are nervous because, oh my God, people know how we vote now. And if you continue that strategy, if you continue to showcase that is how you shame them back to reality. It's all fun and games when no one knows what you're doing in the giant granite building known as City Hall. But once all of your votes, all of your actions come home to roost in your ward and people get pissed off because they see how crazy you are, that's when actions will finally start having consequences and change will happen quicker than we think.
Ray Lopez, he is the alderman of the 15th Ward. Ray, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
And Amy, thank you.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. It finally happened. After 30 long and excruciating months, Fed Chair Powell just lowered interest rates a half a point, which means credit cards, car and home equity loans will be lower and less expensive. Most importantly, mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels since last February. The past 3 years have knocked out over 60% of our competition, who are back in the mall spinning pretzels and folding underpants. Team Hochberg's weathered the storm and is ready to help you, your friends, and family reduce your rate and monthly payments. If your interest rate is 7 or above, call Team Hochberg now. Not when you get home, not tomorrow, now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we'll talk to the current Republican senator from Indiana, who will be the next governor of Indiana. That's Senator Mike Braun. I've got a lot to discuss, including that Afghan national arrested for an Election Day terrorist plot. 7:07.
In Oklahoma City, of all places. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
One is in custody after a gun was found at Trump Tower. Jury selection is underway in the Mike Madigan trial. Blackhawks dropped their NHL opener. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
It's just the beginning. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
You can feel that the wind is picking up.
Fox Weather's Britta Merwin in Sarasota, Florida, which could get a direct hit from Hurricane Milton tonight and tomorrow.
2 minutes ago, a vivid flash of light across the sky, and the rumble of the thunder shook the ground. I mean, we're talking about a real deep, powerful boom.
An update just out has Milton now just under a Category 5 hurricane with 155-mile-an-hour max winds, and there could be a 15-foot storm surge from Tampa on down. Fox's Evan Brown reports.
Many people have left the Florida Gulf Coast for higher ground, though first responders are staying behind to get to work after.
We were hit by Ian, not hammered. This is going to be a hammer, I feel like, in this circumstance.
Charlie Thorpe is the police chief in Venice, Florida, near Sarasota, where the city water system is turned off. In Bradenton, Mayor Gene Brown knows there are people who didn't leave.
It's been heartbreaking to go out there and dealing with people.
This less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene caused widespread devastation, Florida up to North Carolina. 4 weeks before the election, Vice President Harris did a series of media interviews, from The View to Howard Stern to the CBS Late Show with Stephen Colbert, getting a warm welcome.
So would you like to have a beer with me so I can tell people what that's like? Okay.
Now, Monday night, Harris was interviewed by CBS 60 Minutes, facing tougher questions, but former President Trump just posted on Truth Social an allegation that 60 Minutes producers edited Harris's answers to make her look better, claiming it's the definition of fake news, demanding an apology and an investigation. Now, the Trump campaign is also calling this made up, an allegation about something from Russia.
A claim in a Bob Woodward book coming out next week is confirmed by the Kremlin, which says former President Trump did send coronavirus testing devices to Russian President Vladimir Putin at the height of the pandemic.
That's Fox's Lillian Wu. America's listening to Fox News.
53 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson canceling police academy classes as a cost-saving measure. The Sun-Times says the police department will not launch recruit classes for at least 2 months. On WTTW last night, Johnson defended potential staff cuts and going back on promises not to raise property taxes.
And take away, lay off, fire, privatize, so that other people can benefit and the people of the city of Chicago continue to lose. Not under my watch.
His comments come a day after he named 6 new members of the Chicago Board of Education to their posts during a fiery press conference. One person is in custody after a gun was found at Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago, prompting a SWAT team response. A firearm was located. One person was arrested. A Cook County jury convicts a man of murder in the killing of an off-duty Chicago police officer in 2019. Menelik Jackson was found guilty yesterday in the deadly shooting of Officer John Rivera following a jury trial that began last week. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoult is suing TikTok. The lawsuit accuses the video-sharing social networking service of targeting kids with addictive features.
Our lawsuit alleges that even though they had information showing that excessive and addictive use can cause serious harm to children, TikTok intentionally designed its platform to capture as much of its users' time and attention as possible.
13 other states have filed separate lawsuits against TikTok. Jury selection is underway in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan. Chicago sports. Blackhawks last night opened up the regular NHL season with a loss to Utah 5-2. Bulls beat the Cavaliers 116-112. Baseball, Mets and Padres a win away from the championship series. The Mets took down the Phillies 7-2, while the Padres beat the Dodgers in L.A. 6-5. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, healthinsurancementors.com, Trinity School of Natural Health, and by Blue Star Security.
Dan Proft here for Northridge Prep. Northridge Prep is a great place to be a boy. What does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students. And when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. And the result is that the boys just love Northridge. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years. And one of the things that stands out to me is their commitment to partnering with parents. Now, you hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it. They built a community that really works together. Raising kids is difficult these days, and at Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house on Sunday, October 20th, for boys in grades 6 through 12. Register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, that's Sunday, October 20th. Register at northridgeprep.org.
If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, feel better for a few hours only to have the pain return and then repeat the cycle all over again, it's time to try Relief Factor. And the good news is, Relief Factor makes that easy. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it. How? Well, its unique formula of ingredients helps support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by doctors. It's 100% drug-free, and for so many people, the results are game-changing, even life-changing. So give it a try. Right now, their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. See how in a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So don't mask pain. Fight it naturally with Relief Factor.
Millwright work is often technical and requires a high degree of precision. The pros at Vans Industrial are skilled mechanics that can perform any type of millwright work, including installation and maintenance of your factory equipment and machinery. For your machine repair needs, look no further than Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial millwright contractor that can install new mechanical systems or repair existing systems. Our services include repair of bearings, shafts, shiv alignments, as well as installation of conveyors and bucket elevators. Our team of trained mechanics will respond to your emergency calls 24/7, keeping your systems operational. We're here to help you.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. That's 833-VANS-IND. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
77 years old. I have a tax office. I still do taxes every year. My clients are amazed. I feel so much younger. I love it. I love the product. I tell everybody about it. I feel better. I'm just doing really good.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to live without it. I am very happy and pleased. My mom went on this Balance of Nature probably 15 years ago. She just bragged on this product all the time.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
7:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have medical PPO insurance. Find out how you could save 90% off on average to get that smile back. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. The Kennedy right now, an hour and 20 minutes O'Hare into the Byrne Circle interchange. Due to an earlier accident, the Ike continues to be heavy and slow. Wolf to First Avenue and 72 in from 390 into the old post office. A rollover semi accident on the exit ramp to 130th. It's on the outbound Bishop Ford, again at 130th on the exit ramp. Keep an eye on that for you. Tri-State jamming up already northbound between Roosevelt and the Ike, and they cleared an accident southbound right before Route 394. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunshine and 72 today. 53 at O'Hare. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So a 27-year-old Afghan national was arrested for allegedly conspiring to plot an election day massacre in this country. Brett Baer reported on it last evening.
The FBI says it has foiled a terror plot set to take place inside the U.S. on Election Day. A criminal complaint just unsealed within the last 30 minutes says 27-year-old Nasser Tahedi conspired with ISIS and obtained firearms and ammunition to conduct that attack in the name of the terrorist organization, ISIS. The Justice Department says he took steps to move his family overseas and acquire machine guns and ammunition. FBI Director Chris Wray says tonight, quote, this defendant, motivated by ISIS, allegedly conspired to commit a violent attack on Election Day here in our homeland. Terrorism is still the FBI's #1 priority, and we will use every resource to protect the American people.
#1 priority after pronoun usage. The person arrested has been legally in the United States since September of 2021. He was granted special parole permission to enter the country during Operation Allies Refuge following the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Isn't that interesting? The conversation we had about vetting Afghan refugees from any place, but particularly Afghan when you have dominated by radical Islamic terrorists like those who constitute the Taliban, #1. #2, isn't that just another indictment of the Afghan policy and the Afghan withdrawal when we couldn't get known Afghan nationals who were allies, who helped our military, like translators and others. We couldn't get them out. But this guy got out, and he's been here for the better part of 3 years, more than 3 years, and now plotting against this country.
And the sickening part is some of them they couldn't get out because the CDC wouldn't let them in because they didn't have COVID vaccinations. Sick. Our government is not working. Nothing works in our government.
For more on this and other related issues, please be joined by Indiana Senator Mike Braun, who is poised to be the next governor of Indiana come November 5th. Senator Braun, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good to be back on. Been a while. Always enjoy the show.
Thank you. And so, I know tackling illegal immigration is an issue for you both as a senator and will be an issue as governor of Indiana as well, since every state's a border state these days. So I just want to get your reaction to this latest development and general commentary on what you plan to do as governor on the topic.
So I'll go back to shortly after Biden got elected and went down to the border with like 16, 17 other Republican senators. And, of course, it was everything that was in place under Trump with record low illegal crossings under the same legislative template then as Biden and Harris inherited. They just said, the heck with it. We're going to open everything up, and, of course, got up to record illegal crossings of, 250 to 300,000 a month. But the part that was most alarming would be the gotaways. Those are the ones that you can see crossing, but you don't confront them, or the folks that bring their suitcase into Mexico City and then get deluxe kind of crossing help from the cartels, up to about 150 nationalities. I mean, that's almost all countries. And the fact that you now are making a big deal out of it is only due to the fact that you are hemorrhaging at polls where that issue, along with the sugar high economy and inflation, will still be the two drivers on the national scene. But they've tried to flip-flop. Our border czar, now the nominee for their party, finally made it there. But no, the things that could happen when you've done that and you've been behind it crassly to maybe get votes down the road, it's been 3.5 years of it. We have no idea what's going on in this country, and you can blame the two of them, and especially the czar, who now wants to be the next president. There is so much that we do not know when you have open borders, and it's a matter of time before something like this does happen. Thank goodness this was caught and ferreted out, and this would be, like you said, from a legal immigrant, because there were so many immigrants that we didn't vet in the rush to bring folks into this country. We now put up with the uncertainty of what might happen.
So when you become governor, how are you going to tackle illegal immigration?
You're going to have to do what Governor Abbott has done in Texas, DeSantis in Florida. Every state has got some impact from it. The thing that makes Indiana unique, the crossroads of America, we're kind of like the main channel of drug distribution through the country because of all the interstates that run through this state. And when you talk to sheriffs, chiefs of police in some of these smaller towns along 65, along 69, they've got their hands full. Our own state capital of Indianapolis contends with it disproportionately. So you're going to have to weigh in, even though you might be going into a different jurisdiction politically, like Indianapolis, which has not been run well over the last 9 years under Democratic leadership, no different than many large cities around the country. Governors are not going to be able to stand idly by along with their legislatures when this stuff is happening. So you're going to have to take the initiative. You're going to have to weigh in. You're going to have to help the states that deal with it daily, and you're going to need to make sure you gird and prepare for the consequences within your own states.
Well, I know this won't be the same sort of issue if Trump is elected and Republicans regain control of the Senate, hold control of the House. But the issue of that we've seen play out in small town America, and I mean it's sort of emblematic of the larger attitude of government, which is an agenda that is completely at odds with its constituents. And we talked to the Yuma former chief of the Yuma sector, trying to get like how does Whitewater, Wisconsin, how does Springfield, Ohio, how does Charleroi, Pennsylvania, how does that happen? Somebody has to be making the call to send as many migrants from wherever to a specific small community, overwhelming those communities as we've seen play out, and that's got to be a concern for governors of any and every state. So I just wonder, particularly with your current post as a senator, what you understand about how what happened in those communities, just to use a few examples, can happen, and how to ensure that it doesn't happen in Indiana and, frankly, anywhere else.
I thought what was most interesting is when Abbott and DeSantis, especially Abbott, started busing illegal immigrants into places like Martha's Vineyard, New York City, Chicago. And all of a sudden you're hearing the cry of, "Uncle, don't do this. We give up. You're overwhelming us." That, to me, was the most kind of obvious clue that this wasn't working politically, even in some of their strongholds of deep blue politics and policy. And then they try to pivot, which is my observation about them, is they are fast-footed. They are much more agile on the political side of it, and think that they can all of a sudden have an about face and now make it an issue. This is happening mostly, I think, behind the scenes on the clique that's been running the White House. I think Biden has been mostly a figurehead there, controlled by a group of advisors and his closest associates that have been behind it. And when you orchestrate it in such a way that it was relentless, and it was by policies that you took away that were working just because Trump had it in play, to me, that is something politically that better resonate here on November 5th, and I think it will. All the polling we have shows that in our state of Indiana, that is up there, even though it's a national issue. It's number 2, just barely behind inflation and the economy.
Why are you leaving the Senate to run for governor? I mean, Senate 6-year terms. You're basically more or less in a safe seat. You could hang out there for as long as you'd like. So why make the move back home?
I came into politics under unlikely circumstances and odds, but lived the American dream, moved back to my hometown, my wife and I, years ago. She's had her only job as her business in her downtown. I got started a little later and grew a little hardscrabble company into a regional, then national company. 3 of our 4 kids run it with a good young executive team. That's the American dream. And when I look at even in our own state capital, what happened over the last 9 years to where you could take a weekend vacation from southern Indiana to go there, that's not happening anymore. And when you look at the national scene, where we have now grown the federal government to 25% of our GDP based upon the crisis of COVID, which was their dream. Rahm Emanuel never let a crisis go to waste. They've pulled it off. We're spending as much on interest as we are defense. I pledged I wouldn't do it more than 2 terms. Picking the right fork in the road and knowing where you can have the most impact. Hardly anybody vacates a U.S. Senate seat. I'm doing it because I'm fearful that if we don't have governors that are going to stand strong, state by state, you've got one where you folks live in Illinois.
Yeah.
Folks are moving from Chicago into Northwest Indiana. And that's our benefit, but it's an indication that sooner or later people will not only vote differently, they'll vote with their feet. I want to be here to make sure none of that encroaches here. I think the states will be the entrepreneurs in government to fix the problems the federal government has not.
Well,
in a nutshell.
Indiana's kind of in an interesting position. I know people sort of like shrug their shoulders. It's a red state, so it's Republicans are in control. That's the end of the discussion, but it's actually not, and not to me at least, because we've seen it in Illinois when you have a long run of governance, of control of the state government, and you get a little complacent and you start doing things other than what you said you would do, and you start feeling invulnerable to public sentiment, and things can turn. And so, you're coming on the heels of 2 decades of uninterrupted Republican governance, and I wonder how, what's your assessment of the state and where there are improvements to be made so that there is a communication that there is no complacency here, and we're still, sort of pursuing small C conservative common sense reforms and so forth.
I'll go through every agency that we've got. There are 30 of them, nearly 30,000 state employees, and make sure that gets back to customer service, constituent service, and is run responsibly. Not to mention, I fixed healthcare in my own business many years ago. Healthcare, workforce education are the 2 big state issues, along with many others. But yes, you hit it on the head. There's a natural tendency towards complacency. We're not taking anything for granted. And I can tell you, when they got rid of Biden, which was a train wreck in November for them, they levitated up 5 to 7 points, not only vis-a-vis Trump in the presidency, but all the down ballot races. Trump has since rebounded. Many of the down ballot races, you look at the Senate races across the country, they don't enjoy that margin by state that he would. So we've got to get out, work hard, make the case, and it's an easy case to make. Do we want all these terrible federal policies to start creeping in in states like Indiana, just because we don't work hard enough, we've maybe plateaued in what the people, Hoosiers, would think. I'm not campaigning that way. I'm campaigning on being an entrepreneurial conservative that's going to take any plateauing that we've had in this state and turn it around and show what states can do. And hopefully you're looking at Indiana in the same way you do places like Texas, Florida, Tennessee. And I do believe the solutions will be crafted at the state level. You cannot borrow now $1 trillion every 6 months. It was $1 trillion annually when I got there 6 years ago, and think that that's a good business plan. Make sure it doesn't creep into your own state. That's resonating. That's why we'll win the race.
Now, I have an important question to ask you that I've asked your last three predecessors. So going back to my man, Mitch Daniels.
And I have one question, too.
If elected governor of Indiana, will you commit to using the Indian National Guard to invade and take over Illinois and make it part of Hoosier land?
If you'll be my first lieutenant,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And have you? I know your Democratic challenger as a former Republican. Have you had any debates with her?
We've had probably 10 gubernatorial forums, which would not have been formal debates. We just had 2 back-to-back last week, and she is trying to sell common sense and a different approach to state government. And she's on record as a Republican voting for Hillary Clinton, wanting to work in the Biden-Harris administration, and supports every crazy liberal idea that they do. That's not going to fly in Indiana.
Nope.
So, yes, we've litigated that already twice. We'll do it again at the end of October.
Senator Mike Braun, he is a U.S. Senator from Indiana, running to be the next governor of Indiana. He's on the ballot November 5th. For more information about him, support his candidacy, get involved in the last 3 weeks here. Mike Braun for Indiana, MikeBraunForIndiana.com. Senator Braun, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
And Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
All right. If you're waking up with any aches and pains and you've thought about, you know what, I can't live like this anymore, and thought about surgery, then you have to realize surgery. Let's think about that. You have to take vacation time, and then it may or may not even work, and there's a long recovery. So before you go under the knife, you should call our friends at QC Kinetics to schedule that free consultation. The number to call is 312-809-5955. Now, this is cutting-edge treatment that requires no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. It's developed by medical professionals under the leadership now of Dr. Mitchell Shinecup. He's a former orthopedic surgeon who did QC Kinetics, performed the procedure on his own knee. And guess what? He's still skiing. He's still out enjoying life. And he also is a pioneer in the clinical regenerative medicine field. So the choice is yours. You could do the steroids, cortisone shots, daily medications. You could pursue surgery and a long recovery that may or may not work. Or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out today. schedule your appointment. Again, it's free. You've got nothing to lose. They have new locations, too, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
During Cybersecurity Awareness Month, LifeLock wants to give you helpful tips to protect your identity. Using multi-factor authentication can be a line of defense to help protect your personal information. But LifeLock offers comprehensive protection against identity theft. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes issues that arise, guaranteed or your money back. Protect your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my name, Clay, as the promo code. Terms apply.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE. Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, we spoke to a Hoosier who's leaving the Senate. We'll speak to a cheesehead who's trying to get there. Eric Hovde, Republican candidate for U.S. Senate in Wisconsin, in a tight race. We'll talk to him at 7:37.
Can't wait, but now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:31. Hurricane Milton is nearing the Florida coast this morning. Milton remains a Category 5 storm, winds of 160 miles per hour as it takes aim at the Florida Gulf Coast. Jennifer Crabtree with Tampa General Hospital says for now, they'll remain open.
We're prepared. We are going to gear up and take care of our patients. We're not going anywhere, and so we're hunkering down, and we're going to manage the storm as it comes.
The latest update from the National Hurricane Center puts that monster storm about 300 miles southwest of Tampa.
It's hard to honestly put into words, because Tampa's been lucky for so long that now it's just like, it's just hard to kind of comprehend, really.
Milton is forecast to make landfall late Wednesday night, possibly early Thursday morning. Palestinians say a large-scale Israeli operation in northern Gaza has killed or wounded dozens. Meantime, Hezbollah has fired another barrage of rockets into Israel, and the acting terror group's leader vows to keep up that pressure. The FBI has arrested an Afghan man who officials say was inspired by ISIS to plot an Election Day attack. The suspect was working with an unnamed juvenile co-conspirator who was also arrested. Mayor Brandon Johnson canceling police academy classes as a cost-saving measure, he says. Sun-Times says Chicago Police Department won't launch recruit classes for at least 2 months. One person is in custody, all following a gun being found at the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. One person was arrested without incident, and the gun has been recovered. Some experts this morning see the millionaire's tax advisory question on Illinois' November ballot as a measure that could amount to property tax relief in Illinois. Others say it's simple financial recklessness. The tax, being promoted by former Governor Pat Quinn, demands an additional 3% tax on income greater than $1 million for the purpose of property tax relief. Republican State Rep Marty McLaughlin this morning is warning voters he sees it as more of the same financial recklessness that has led to the ongoing struggle.
This really is just another case of, we're going to go after someone else's money. The reality is these people they're going after are the employers of small businesses. They run small businesses in our state, and it's going to have an economic impact.
McLaughlin notes the non-binding question seems to be an attempted workaround of a failed constitutional amendment seeking to charge higher earners higher income tax rates. Voters rejected that measure in 2020. Blackhawks lost to Utah 5-2. The Bulls beat the Cavaliers 116-112. Bears continuing to gear up for their Week 6 trip to London. By the way, Sunday's game will kick off at 8:30. The news service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
For Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by JeffBuysYourHouse.com, Papa Nicholas Coffee, the Alpha Wealth Group, Willows Academy, and by Senior Helpers of Naperville.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
77 years old. I have a tax office. I still do taxes every year. My clients are amazed. I feel so much younger. I love it. I love the product. I tell everybody about it. I feel better. I'm just doing really good.
Oh my goodness, I don't want to live without it. I am very happy and pleased. My mom went on this Balance of Nature probably 15 years ago. She just bragged on this product all the time.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code
Chicago. I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
I don't need to tell you how important a good night's sleep is, but like most people, sometimes you can't fall asleep or you wake up during the night. That's why I want to tell you about Z-Factor. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free way to help you fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and sleep better. Z-Factor is from the makers of Relief Factor. Now, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you ease into sleep faster and sleep through the night. Just ask Maureen G. She said, quote, "This product broke a 15-year nightly cycle of lying in bed for hours before falling asleep," unquote. Or Bernard K., who said, "It cut down significantly the amount of times I wake up." Rediscover the joy of a great night's sleep, just like Barbara, who called it the best sleep I ever had. Try Z-Factor from Relief Factor and save 46% on your first order. Just go to ReliefFactor.com to order, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for Z-Factor.
Longing for thick, healthy, gorgeous hair? Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume from New Nordic.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have medical PPO insurance. Find out how you could save 90% off on average to get that smile back at almostfreeteeth.com. Eden's 30 minutes. Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy stop and go all the way in. 85 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike outbound, an accident with a center lane block at Independence. Vehicle fire on the Dan Ryan in the locals inbound between Garfield and 18th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunshine in 72 today, clear and 54 overnight. Partly cloudy and 52 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Kamala doing her media blitz to try to whip up the young folks that she needs to turn out, people that find Stephen Colbert funny and Howard Stern still a maverick. I don't know who does, but apparently there are some. And, of course, the ladies on The View as thoughtful. The operative question that was asked, she had two bites at it, one on The View and once with Colbert. Since we're turning the page, so you say, what would you do differently?
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Wait, I thought she was separate from Joe Biden 2 weeks ago. Now she's with Joe Biden. And I would think maybe the withdrawal from Afghanistan might want to rethink.
She was given a second chance, as I mentioned, this time with Stephen Colbert. I don't know. I don't know why he pressed her with this gotcha question after she struggled with it on The View. It's not very nice of him.
You are a member of the President's administration. Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of... Yes. But also, I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump. And so when we think about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country.
I love Lamb.
I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people. We have aspirations, we have dreams, we have incredible work ethic, and I just believe that we can create and build upon the success we've achieved in a way that we continue to grow opportunity, and in that way grow the strength of our nation.
A what now?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what was said. I sort of
I went to my happy place.
Lost consciousness briefly. There's no way that comes across as earnest to Midwesterners with a functioning BS detector, is there? Including north of the Cheddar Curtain there in the cheese state. To help us with that question and talk a little bit about his candidacy, slightly down ballot from Trump-Harris, Eric Hovde. He's the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate in Wisconsin. Eric Hovde, HOVDE.com, EricHovde.com. Eric, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great being on your show this morning.
All right. So, I mean, it seems like the job that you have is not dissimilar to the job that President Trump has, which is to stand back and get your opponent talking and hope that people's, as I said, BS detectors go off where appropriate.
100%. The problem that I have is Tammy Baldwin won't even go out and talk to the press, won't do almost anything. I'm only getting one debate at the end of the election process. I mean, this woman literally, like Kamala Harris, can't answer any hard questions because her whole record has been one of failure. And by the way, what you were asking, from a good Midwesterner, the BS detector, I mean, talk about a word salad that doesn't answer any of the questions. It's incredible. But, Senator Baldwin, she gets all this money from special interest groups. She claims that she's ran against Wall Street, against wealth inequality, and that the wealthy need to pay their fair share. And yet she pretty much lives in New York with a Wall Street executive who designs tax schemes for the uber wealthy and invests in biotech and pharma industries, which Tammy oversees. So she doesn't want to answer those questions. She doesn't want to answer for all her votes to igniting inflation. She doesn't want to answer for saying, we spend too much on the border and, helping Joe Biden and Kamala. Harris opened the southern border and the crises that have come with it, the crime issues, the fentanyl crisis, the humanitarian crisis they've created. They can't even account for 100,000 children. And I've been fighting against sex trafficking with my foundation for over 15 years, and have homes around the world for abandoned children and saving kids out of sex trafficking. She doesn't want to answer the fact that she's helped create a humanitarian crisis. It's appalling how the press has handled a lot of this, and how they are able to just slide by and not get called out for more of it. But I'm hammering on issues, and that's why I think I'm now in a tied race, and the momentum's on my side.
So you guys are going to meet head-to-head for the only debate on Friday, October 18th. Early voting will have already have started by then, correct?
Yeah. So I get one. Think of how absurd this is. You in the old days, how would a campaign be run? It'd be two candidates speaking to reporters and the public, answering their questions, explaining their policies and how to make the country better and improve the lives, in my case, of the people of Wisconsin. Then, we moved down to 3 or 4 debates. Typically, the debates would run for an hour and a half each debate. Now, I'm getting one debate on a Friday night. Guess what time? 7 p.m. when everybody on a Friday night's probably having a drink.
Yeah.
It's plugged in.
At their fish fry, having their old fashioned, and for 1 hour. I mean, that's early voting has already started. But this is what we're dealing with. They can't stand up and address the hard questions, whether it's Harris or Baldwin. And let's face it, they're just puppets. They're puppets of a machine. Senator Baldwin, like Kamala Harris, it's a machine that the Democrats have, and they prop him up. Joe Biden was sharp as a tack, remember, until the world came to realize he had dementia. I knew that, even before he ran, because sadly I had to care for a mother with dementia the last 10 years of her life. So, and Kamala Harris, she couldn't even be a mid-level manager in any of my companies. I'm serious. And Senator Baldwin, the same thing. They've never accomplished anything. Think of Vice President Harris. She failed as being a DA in San Francisco. San Francisco's crime problems went through a complete meltdown while she was DA. Then she became Attorney General of the state of California. And you saw sanctuary cities, and then LA started to turn bad. Then she becomes a senator. She was voted the most extreme liberal senator. She never accomplished anything, just voted for all the radical stuff of the left. And then she becomes vice president. Her main job is border czar. Does anybody think she did a good job on that? And you could walk through the same thing with Senator Baldwin. Failed at literally everything.
What speaking, we were talking to Senator Mike Braun a little bit earlier in the program, and talking about small town America as border towns now in places like, Whitewater, Wisconsin. And I wonder what the answer from Tammy Baldwin is about that, and Tony Evers for that matter, and how much that is garnering attention in Wisconsin.
They can't. She won't answer questions. She won't take questions. And if she does get questions by the press, most of them softball the questions. Look, I can tell you what's happening in Whitewater. And just by way of background, they dropped in 1,000 illegal immigrants into the city. The budget immediately went upside down. They're having significant problems in the schools. You have all these children that don't speak English, and the schools are overly packed. You're having a housing issue. You can't just take a town of 13, 14,000, add 1,000 people, and don't expect that you're going to compound whatever housing problem you have. And then you have a healthcare issue because again, now how the hospitals and the medical providers, they don't have the infrastructure to have that kind of surge. And by the way, they're seeing a lot of different diseases or viruses that you're not typically used to seeing, and they're not equipped to handling. So it has not worked out well for Whitewater at all, and it's not working out anywhere in this country when you have this surge of illegal immigrants.
But who's they, and why did they choose Whitewater, Wisconsin?
My guess is because it's a university town. Probably was a little bit more. The mayor was a little bit more accepting, and sometimes they just fly people in and drop them in, and sometimes it's with the acknowledgement of the town leaders. So I'm not quite sure how that ended up working, but if the mayor willingly accepted it, then shame on him. I mean, shame on him.
Is that crystallizing the issue though for Wisconsin voters? Do you think?
I think it's certainly had an impact with a lot of people. But look, we've had crime all over. Sadly, that case in Prairie du Chien. It's a small town of 5,000 people where this mother and her daughter were brutally raped for quite a long time. You've had the illegal immigrant that killed his own 2 children. You've had the illegal immigrant kidnap a 12-year-old girl, tie her up. Thank God she broke away. You've had an illegal immigrant run into drunk driving into a truck driver, a father of 3 young children, and killed him. So we've had a lot of incidences. Those are some of the bigger ones. But look, the crime problem is being felt all over. And really probably the biggest thing is the fentanyl crisis. We lost 108,000 young people last year, 112,000 the year before. Wisconsin has felt the brunt of it like every other state in the country. And those are staggering numbers. I mean, we fought the Vietnam War for 19 years, major conflict for 7.5. We lost 58,000 American young men, soldiers. And now we sit here today losing almost twice that amount every year. And has Washington done anything? Has the press been hammering this issue? No. Look, there's so many impacts of our open border. So when you look at the top issues by people in our state, it's the economy, the inflation, and the open border. All the ramifications.
Yeah, what's interesting, though? James Freeman had a write-up on you in the Wall Street Journal the other week that you've also taken up some other issues like boys playing girls sports in opposition to that. And I think that's smart, and I think sometimes conservatives don't see these opportunities because you're just supposed to focus on whatever the top 2 issues on the issue matrix and polls say they are. But these also speak to sort of core values about how society is going to be organized, about what kind of community people are going to be allowed to live in effectively. And I wonder why you picked up on that issue to profile.
It's real simple. I'm a girl dad. I have 2 daughters. And as a guy who just turned 60, when I was young, girls didn't have a lot of opportunities in sports. Nope. And I saw over, from the time I was young to the time my girls came about, sports bloomed for girls. And I thought it was such a wonderful thing. I thought, look, great. And my youngest daughter was named the Female Athlete of the Year in the state of Wisconsin in 2017. She was just a phenomenal athlete. And to see that now the Department of Education and the government pushing schools to require guys to play in girls' sports and to go into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms, I find it appalling. You're going to deprive girls of their sports. It's insanity. It's what I say. We've woken up in this world like I've woken up in a bad episode of the Twilight Zone, where what is right is wrong and what is wrong is right. I mean, if a guy would have tried to go into a girl's bathroom or locker room, even a decade ago, they would have been arrested. Nobody would have said boys can play in girls' sports. If they're little, under pre-puberty, then who cares? But it's once you hit puberty and guys get the surge of testosterone, they become bigger, stronger, faster, and it's totally unfair, and it's depriving girls of their sports. And then Senator Baldwin also is pushing something that I find absolutely appalling, and that's supporting a transgender clinic that's doing this without parents' notification. I mean, look, if you in your 20s or 30s want to go through that process, that's your decision. I'm kind of a libertarian. But to talk about doing that with children, I mean, Europe has totally shut that down because we know that young kids that have gone through that have some of the highest suicide rates. So Europe has absolutely shut it down because the consequences they've realized are horrible. But here in this country, we continue to push that. Look, we don't allow kids to drive until 16 or 17. We don't allow them to vote until 18. We don't allow them to drink until 21, but we're going to allow them to mutilate their body or take drugs that fundamentally mess up their hormones for the rest of their life. And there's huge physical health consequences to both of these for the rest of their lives. And we're allowing that, and in some case pushing it. So as a girl dad, I just, found it appalling. And so, of course, I'm going to pick it up and run with it.
Yeah, and the National Review.
A lot of people don't like it.
National Review came out yesterday saying in less than 5 years, 14,000 minors underwent gender transition surgery.
It's insanity. I don't know what the heck. And then you have Tim Walz, who says in the state of Minnesota passed a law, if the parents are opposed to it, the child can be taken away from the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they? Who are they? Who are they to tell what you can do with your own children? I mean, that is sick. So, as you can tell, I feel pretty strongly about this issue. We're harming our children. There's a big healthcare complex that are making a lot of money off of this, that have been behind a lot of the lobbying for this. So, yes, I'm very opposed to this set of issues. And we just got to stand up. And I'm also addressing things like our healthcare system. I wish more Republicans would talk about that. Remember, President Obama said, Obamacare will lower the cost of health care, provide greater access, and you'll be able to keep your family doctor. Well, what has ended up happening? Cost of health care has skyrocketed more. Access to care has absolutely collapsed, and the family doctor has all been but wiped away. So I hope Republicans pick up on a number of these issues in all these races, and because we got to take a stand.
No, I like it. I think, you remind me in terms of the way you're approaching this campaign very much like Ron Johnson, and obviously you're a successful businessman as well, like he is. And obviously that is a model that has worked in Wisconsin. So hopefully it will work for you as well. Eric Hovde, Republican nominee for Senate in Wisconsin, erichovde.com, H-O-V-D-E, erichovde.com is the website to get involved in the final weeks of the campaign. Eric Hovde, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too, and good luck with your campaign. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484, 800-839-8484, 800-839-8484.
Have you lost Illinois Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Making the pitch for auto workers whose jobs are in jeopardy thanks to the Biden-Harris EV mandate. That's what J.D. Vance was doing. We'll discuss with Steve Moore at 8:08.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A jury convicts a man in the killing of an off-duty Chicago police officer. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
They don't have much time left to prepare. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Please get out of the way of the storm.
Hurricane Milton keeps closing in, and Congressman Byron Donalds just told Fox.
Everything we are seeing is life-threatening storm surge in Southwest Florida.
Many have evacuated from the Tampa region down to Fort Myers, leaving a lot of stores with bare shelves and gas stations with empty tanks.
This is a monster of a hurricane.
It's just under a Category 5 right now with 155-mile-an-hour max winds. Fox Weather's Britta Merwin is in Sarasota near boarded-up buildings. It could get a direct hit from Milton.
I mean, we're expecting downtown Sarasota to look like it has never looked. This is the strongest storm that they have had in more than 100 years.
It's forecast to hit late tonight into early tomorrow. Hezbollah's fired more rockets across the border from Lebanon, killing 2 Israelis. Ahead of a call today between President Biden and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
As Israel expands its airstrikes to include Damascus, Syria overnight, Israel reportedly targeted a building used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps and Hezbollah commanders. In the Dahia neighborhood of Beirut in Lebanon continues to get pummeled by Israeli airstrikes as well.
Fox's Nate Foy in Tel Aviv. Israel's also conducting a new offensive against Hamas militants in Gaza with dozens of Palestinians killed. Former President Trump will campaign in Pennsylvania with a rally tonight. Vice President Harris did some friendly, high-profile media interviews, sharing a beer with Stephen Colbert on the CBS Late Show.
There are a lot of folks who are just saying, you know, enough of the rhetoric that's about trying to divide the country and have Americans point their fingers at each other.
Harris told The View there's nothing she can think of she'd have done different than President Biden. It's out with more of the old in Las Vegas. Those are fireworks early this morning above the Tropicana, an iconic old hotel and casino that opened 67 years ago that came down with an implosion. The Tropicana down in seconds in a giant ball of dust. They plan to build a new Major League Baseball stadium at the site of the Tropicana as the A's move out of Oakland. America's listening to Fox News.
52 degrees and sunshine at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson reportedly canceling police academy classes as a cost-saving measure. The Sun-Times says CPD will not launch recruit classes for at least 2 months. One person is in custody after a gun was found at Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. A firearm was located. One person was arrested without incident. A man has been charged with murder after 2 men were shot and killed by an employee late Monday night after they got into an argument at a Southwest Side fast food restaurant in the Ashburn neighborhood. Mehdi Medelel, a 42-year-old from the south side of Chicago, has been charged with 2 felony counts of first-degree murder. Cook County jury convicts a man of murder in the killing of an off-duty Chicago police officer in 2019. Manelik Jackson was found guilty yesterday in the deadly shooting of Officer John Rivera. Following a jury trial, co-defendant Jaquan Washington entered a guilty plea last year but has not been sentenced. Blackhawks lost to Utah to open the NHL regular season 5-2. While the Bulls beat the Cavaliers in the NBA preseason 116-112. The news is a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. Call 708-828-0000. 803. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Boeing shares are down nearly 1.5% after talks with the union representing striking machinists broke down. Shares of Alphabet, parent of Google, are down 1% after the Justice Department revealed in a government filing that it is considering breaking up Google to end its monopoly over searches. There's a sign demand is still stepping up for artificial intelligence. Chipmaker Taiwan Semiconductor, which supplies Apple and NVIDIA, reported a sharp increase in business in the the recent quarter. September sales alone were up 39% over a year ago. General Motors has bought back so many shares of its own stock that Barron says GM could become a private company in 9 years. Company executives say the buyback represents a great opportunity. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of @Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Aid for Women.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, feel better for a few hours only to have the pain return and then repeat the cycle all over again, it's time to try Relief Factor. And the good news is, Relief Factor makes that easy. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it. How? Well, its unique formula of ingredients helps support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by doctors. It's 100% drug-free, and for so many people, the results are game-changing, even life-changing. So give it a try. Right now, their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. See how in a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So don't mask pain. Fight it naturally with Relief Factor.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Bartlett, an accident, Bartlett Road and Route 59. Clarendon Hills, an accident, 55th and Western Avenue. An accident in Lisle, Yackley and Warrenville Road. I-88 jammed up because of an earlier accident eastbound between Orchard Road to right before Eola, the site of that earlier accident. Things are very slow on the tri-state northbound. You're jamming up Roosevelt into the Ike. And a rollover semi-accident on the outbound side of the Bishop Ford on the on-ramp from 130th, causing big delays. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, it'll be a nice day. A high today at 72. Clear tonight, low 54. And then sunny tomorrow, the high 73. Partly sunny, breezy day Friday. A little bit warmer, the high Friday afternoon, reaching 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
52 at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. She can't walk away from the policies of the administration she's a part of, but she can't defend them either. Kamala Harris in Michigan trying to counter the push that is being put on by Trump and Vance specific to the auto industry because of the impact the Biden-Harris EV mandates are having on employment in the auto industry, like Stellantis announcing 200 layoffs at its Sterling Heights, Michigan plant, followed by 2,450 layoffs in August at its plant in Warren, Michigan, cutting shifts in Detroit and Toledo. Stellantis says GM laying off 945 workers in Orion, Michigan. And of course, we know Stellantis closed its Belvedere plant, laid off 1,200 workers. All because, they're being forced to produce more EV cars, and the market is telling them they're not so it's not so interested. The policy background, the Wall Street Journal has it. The EPA's new greenhouse gas emissions rules require that battery-powered and plug-in hybrid vehicles make up 32% of automaker sales in 2027. Talk about industrial policy. By 2032, no more than 29% of new cars can be gas-powered. So there'll only be one gas-powered model for every 2 electric cars and dealer lots. Thus, there'll be fewer gas-powered cars available, and reduced supply increases price, and so forth. This is an issue in that Senate race between Rogers and Slotkin as well, which is another pickup opportunity for Republicans. That is a very tight race, too. And, of course, Kamala's trying to, again, walk away without walking away by offering to retool plants in Flint, Michigan, and so on and so forth. And I'll never tell you what kind of car to drive, but unfortunately, your regulations are already telling me to do so. It's the prevarication of the Bolshevik at play. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist and author of the just-released The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-authored with his pal Art Laffer. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, guys. By the way, next week the Nobel Prize will be awarded in economics, and the most famous economist in the world today, who has not won a Nobel Prize, you know who that is?
Steve Moore.
Steve Moore.
I love you, Dan. No, I'd be second on that list. But you know, who by far would be number one is Arthur Laffer.
Yeah, Art Laffer. Yeah.
Who changed the whole? I mean, he changed the world. And now the Nobel Committee doesn't like what he stands for, which is lower taxes, less government, free trade, and so on. But I just wanted to get that out there that my co-author of that book, Arthur Laffer, deserves the Nobel Prize. There's no one else even close in the world who's had the impact that he has, but I doubt he's going to get it. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. Now, I wanted to say something about what you were just talking about, Dan, with respect to the electric vehicle industry issue in Michigan. You mentioned Alyssa Slotkin. I believe she's the Democratic nominee for the Senate.
Right.
Well, I don't know if you mentioned this, but she's been running ads slamming the electric vehicle mandates. This is the Democrat who's saying, "Oh, we got to get rid of these electric vehicle mandates." Except, I don't know if you've mentioned this already, but Alyssa Slotkin 2 weeks ago voted against legislation to block the Biden administration mandates on new car sales.
Well,
so
it wasn't ripe then.
She's against the mandates.
Yeah.
But when she had a chance to vote against the mandates, she voted for them.
Well, I mean, of course, that wasn't the time. Now is the time to be opposed to them when she's fighting for political life in the closing weeks. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But look, this is a big, big issue in not just Michigan, but so many of the Midwestern states around the country. I mean, these people, I did a debate the other week. I was actually at SMU in Dallas, and we did a debate about Trump versus, Biden, and it was a fairly friendly debate, except the Democrat kept saying, "Oh my God, Donald Trump is the biggest authoritarian we've ever had."
Right.
Like, wait a minute, authoritarian?
Who were you
These are the
debating,
guys
Howard Stern?
tell you what kind of car you can drive, and they're saying that we're authoritarians.
Well, I mean, so but I mean, J.D. Vance was up there, and he was suggesting that there's something on the order of 115,000 auto workers' jobs that are on the chopping block based on this mandate.
Yeah, because for a couple things. One is if the industry does go to EVs, where are the EVs going to be made? They're going to be made in China. I mean, China is building massive numbers of EV plants. And so I can't understand how the president of the United Auto Workers is out there campaigning with Kamala Harris. I mean, talk about selling rope to the hangman.
Right.
I mean, they're going to destroy the auto industry. Across the country, only about 15% of the cars that are being sold now are EVs, despite the fact that we're paying people to buy them. And let's not forget, you buy an EV, the government writes you a $7,500 check. Plus, we're pouring. What was it? Kamala Harris said in the debate against Trump. Oh, we've quote invested $1 trillion in green energy. Okay, what do you got for it? Nobody's buying the EVs. The solar and wind still account for a tiny fraction of our energy. But look, this is America. The one thing that the Democrats don't understand, it's not just about jobs, and it is about the auto worker jobs in Michigan, but Americans love their cars. We've had a love affair with our cars for 75 years. And the idea that the government's going to come around and tell you what kind of car you can buy, that is something that isn't going to go very well with consumers.
I got to tell you, here in Illinois, I'm just reading about the Rivian production line. It's in Normal, Illinois. They've reduced production due to supply shortages. No making of cars on Mondays and Fridays, and the production line is down to 3 days a week. And they said the component that is missing is copper wire used to make the electric motors. It's in Normal, Illinois.
Normal, yeah. Well, I went to U of I, as you know, so not too. But look, the other problem is that first of all, Americans aren't buying them. And by the way, you know what cars Americans do want to buy? They want to buy the hybrids. But the left is against the hybrids, Dan and Amy. Why are they?
I love a hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, my wife has a hybrid too. She charges it up at night, so when she does driving around, the city, she uses the electric, and then if we have to go on a longer trip, you've got the gas. And I mean, this is so absurd that they're against they don't count those hybrids, Dan and Amy, as part of meeting the mandate. You've got to have 100% electric. You cannot use one drop of gasoline.
You want to save the planet or not? And not to mention, you don't need to use the gas on longer trips anymore because thanks to the $7.5 billion included in the Green New Deal thing, they already have 7 charging stations up, and it's only taken 3 years. So they already have the infrastructure. So you don't need to worry about that.
Let me make even more serious and timely point about this. We've got this catastrophe that's going on in Florida. We have the Helene, hurricane. We'll get another hurricane coming in. And in parts of Arkansas, North Carolina, parts of Florida and Georgia, just total devastation. And you've got to get out, of those places when the hurricane is coming. And so here's the thing. Can you imagine dealing with a crisis like that if everybody has an electric vehicle? The whole electric grid system was down. So you'd literally have people completely immobile because you put the charger in and no juice comes out. So how absurd is this? I mean, these people are so crazy. They want to put the entire transportation system. They even want to put trucks on electric batteries. Can you imagine how heavy those batteries are going to be? They want to put trains on electricity.
They want to ruin the infrastructure.
Grid system.
They want to put chainsaws on the electric grid too in North Carolina. Nobody can use them.
They should have started with generators and then maybe chainsaws.
So I wanted to get your reaction to.
By the way, Amy, that's a very serious point. I want to amplify something you just said. folks, these people are serious as a heart attack. I mean, they're not fooling around. If Kamala wins, they're going to take away your gas stove. They're going to take away your air conditioner. They're going to completely overburden the electric grid system. As a measure for your health and safety for your family, make sure you have a generator, because you will not be able to depend on the grid system. I feel very strongly about that. Everyone should have an independent generator that is not dependent on the grid system, because it is already over. Look what's happened in California. They have brownouts and blackouts all the time because of their stupid green energy policies.
I wanted to get your reaction. This important interview that Kamala gave the other day to 60 Minutes is Bill Whitaker. She offered.
I'm still waiting for the answer to that question about how she's going to pay for it. But I don't know.
If that's this is the treatise I wanted you to explain to us, because she operates on such a high level. It's too much for me.
Plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about, because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses.
Yeah, Steve, what do you and Art Laffer have to say about that?
Well, I guess I'm kind of stupid because I don't know what she's talking about. But the fact is that let's go back to the start of that, where she keeps pontificating about how much she cares about small businesses.
She loves them deeply.
Yeah.
Oh, did we lose you?
Uh-oh.
Stephen Moore.
Is this a satellite phone cut out? Does he need to get hooked up to a generator? And we lost him?
But just so you know,
right.
Programming note, he is speaking at our Freedom Summit. He's the breakfast speaker on November 2nd, Saturday.
Very good. All right. Well, that was Steve Moore. He was here, and then he wasn't.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Do you just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, it's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Volatility and uncertainty are everywhere. Many Americans have grown tired of reckless fiscal spending, mounting debt, and threats to the dollar, and are looking for a way out of the fragile paper system. That's why they turn to a gold IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. It's time you learned about the potential benefits a gold IRA can offer. Augusta Precious Metals is a world-class organization priding itself on top-notch service. Get your free guide on gold IRAs today by calling 855-222-4997 now.
Hey guys, Dan Proft here. Fellas, if you're feeling at a loss for energy, it could be low testosterone. That's right, it affects our moods. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, can help you get back to your best. But guys have different T levels. We're not all the same. So don't go for TRT, referred to as a standard dosage plan. Ask. Look for TRT with an optimized personal treatment plan like you'll get with the experts at Low T Center. They provide advanced therapy and with more than a decade of experience. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
You know what the Democrat mafia does to me every day. They get my blood pressure up. You listen to me and you hear my blood pressure go through the roof. I don't need high blood pressure, so I take 120 Life. 120 Life is a Chicago company that developed a juice drink made from natural ingredients. It helps control blood pressure. And if there's anyone who needs blood pressure control, well, arguably it's me. Let me tell you what's in 120 Life. Pomegranates, tart cherries, cranberries, hibiscus, beetroot, magnesium. A recipe I don't have time to make myself. We know these ingredients are good for you, and 120 Life makes it simple to take. You just grab a bottle. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Order a 2-week trial pack of juice and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15%. Unlike the government, there's a money-back guarantee. So when the Dems get your blood boiling, do what I do. Order 120life at 120life.com. Use coupon code LIBERTY to save 15%. 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Do it today.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his 2 business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Bastuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit quickdelivery.com. That's quickdelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with quickdelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
AM 560, The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
Bring it in, ladies.
Yeah, so we find out, and this is a warning to men out there, particularly those
Single
that
men?
are, and those that are perhaps a little bit desperate.
Okay, it happens sometimes.
Desperate enough to have to use the dating sites.
Well, you get in a slump sometimes and you do things out of character. So what do we have here, boss?
Leftist girls are using fake profiles on dating apps to catfish men into voting for Kamala Harris.
Oh, now they've crossed the line. Now they've done it.
See, like there's one, these are just profiles. It's on TikTok. One woman who's a lesbian is pretending to be straight to convince men on dating apps to vote for the Democrat, vote for Kamala. There's all these different profiles that are that have been reported on, so-called thirst traps.
Thirst.
I mean, honeypots. If you're Eric Swalwell, for example, it's sort of the same. It's the same
what are
concept.
They offering? I mean, themselves. Like, hey, if you go on a date with me, you got to promise me you're going to vote for Harris Walls.
Basically.
Really.
It's like the reverse of Lysistrata, right? Which is right. Instead of withholding, I will offer up if you fall in line. I mean, this is these are the pitfalls that men face out there with the distaff side, especially these young women that, you see Gen Z men getting more and more conservative. I mean, more conservative than the previous generation, I guess is a better way to put it. But Gen Z women, the gap is widening between the two. There's a real divide because, of course, most of the women are going to college, and that's not the case with most of the men. And there's that college degree divide.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, just a heads up out there. Be very careful on social media and don't forfeit your integrity for
a little love, right?
Yes,
whether
exactly.
it be temporary, whether they end up dating or just entertaining each other.
As Whitney Houston famously sang, the greatest love of all is learning to love yourself. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, I think I'm going to vomit. No. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
For the person of faith, the churchgoer in your life, make sure, if they're a Trump voter, make sure that they're voting because we have a new study that indicates millions and millions of self-identified Christian and people of faith churchgoers or religious service goers are not voting. That sort of like the 10 million hunters who are unregistered that we talked about earlier in the week. That could be an important cohort, could be the determining cohort, 838.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
It's 8:30 on AM 560. The Answer. Millions of people on Florida's Gulf Coast scrambling to get out of the way of Hurricane Milton. Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donald tells Fox and Friends he's got a message.
Please get out of the way of the storm. This is very dangerous. The storm surge is life-threatening, and we are not just trying to have an abundance of caution here. Everything we are seeing is life-threatening storm surge in Southwest Florida.
Forecasters predict Milton will make landfall late Wednesday night, tonight, or early Thursday morning near Tampa Bay. Meantime, the entire population of America's oldest European established city is under a mandatory evacuation order this hour.
St. Augustine is on Florida's northeast Atlantic coast. Officials believe Hurricane Milton approaching the state's west coast will pose a significant risk to the city and surrounding area. The order went into effect this morning and emergency shelters are open. I'm Michael Kastner.
Milton is currently about 230 miles southwest of Tampa. Hundreds of flights canceled. Airports like Tampa International, Orlando International, Southwest Florida International, all closed. Two vice presidential candidates are in Arizona today for the first day of early voting. Democrat Tim Walz, Republican J.D. Vance, speaking at rallies. The historic Tropicana Hotel and Casino in Vegas is no more. The building was imploded early this morning, and many were lined up outside counting it down. The now empty site will be the future home of the A's baseball stadium, expected to be completed by opening day 2028. Mayor Brandon Johnson canceling police academy classes as a cost-saving measure. The Sun-Times saying that the Chicago Police Department will not launch recruit classes for at least 2 months. A man has been charged with murder after two men were shot and killed by an employee late Monday night after they got into an argument at a Southwest Side fast food restaurant in the Ashburn neighborhood. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul is suing TikTok.
We further allege that TikTok deliberately and successfully targets its addictive product to minors despite knowing the potential for serious harm, including sleep deprivation, depression, anxiety, self-harm, and even suicide.
The lawsuit accuses the video-sharing social networking service of targeting children with addictive features. Bloomington-based insurance giant State Farm is removing electric vehicle chargers from its parking decks at their corporate headquarters and regional sites around the country because of a major fire risk. Company telling employees it will consider plans for alternative locations outside of parking garages. The move becomes effective at the end of this month. Blackhawks lost to Utah 5-2. Bulls beat the Cavaliers 116-112. The news service of almostfreeteeth.com. If you have a medical PPO, insurance, find out how you could save 90% on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Michael Alfaro Radio Show, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Quick Delivery Service.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-823-5544. That's 800-823-5544. 800-823-5544.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is a service of Norton 360. Weak passwords can be targets. That's why Password Manager is included in Norton 360 to help keep you safe. Get comprehensive protection and up to 58% off at norton.com/secure. Kennedy right now is an hour and 40 minutes O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the inbound Ike between First Avenue and Ashland. It's 90 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson at an hour 20. 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 55 southbound. Watch out. You're off ramp to Weber Road on the southbound side shut down. An accident involving two semis. Inbound Dan Ryan, they're clearing a vehicle fire between the Skyway and 18th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Nice day ahead, abundant sunshine and a high of 72. Currently mostly sunny and 54. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Cultural Research Center at Arizona Christian University conducted a study on people of faith. 104 million people. I mean, I don't know the exact methodology, but I assume this is a representative sample, obviously. 104 million people of faith not expected to vote in this election, including 41 million Christians, 32 million of whom regularly go to church. 32 million regular churchgoers, regular Christian churchgoers, not voting in this election, according to this study.
Why?
I mean, that's obviously a huge number, and so it speaks to the perhaps fellow regular churchgoer in your life, or even the self-identifying Christian or person of faith in your life, and if they're otherwise aligned with the values of the conservative movement, then you're duty-bound to try to goad them into getting registered if there's still time, depending on where they are and or voting if they're otherwise registered. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line 64636. I know. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. I keep forgetting.
But especially, I mean, 32 million, that's a lot, especially if they're in key swing states.
Well, obviously, a significant
Arizona.
number is going to be 32 million spread across the country. And by the way, Elon Musk is sweetening the pot.
Yeah. What is he doing now?
I mean, he made this a big issue when he spoke at the rally in Butler for Trump over the weekend, talking about register to vote. I mean, it was repetitive.
Right.
It was just register to vote, register to vote. You've got X number of days in Georgia and Pennsylvania to register to vote. For every person you refer who is a swing state voter, you get $47.
Really?
Yeah. Elon's America PAC is offering $47 for each registered voter you refer in a swing state that signs the attached petition, the petition in favor of free speech and the right to bear arms. So it shouldn't be a big problem, the petition in favor of the First and Second Amendments. I would think you could get a lot of people on board for that. $47 per, that's it can add up if you get to it.
That's a nice lunch.
Or if you have a nice mission field of Christians, churchgoers in your life who aren't otherwise registered or inclined to vote.
Now, is the Democrats going to say that that's, election interference to pay people to register to vote?
To pay people to get people registered to vote. I mean, it's just field work is what that is. Elon Musk sat down with Tucker and had this to say about where the race stands in his view.
The Dems have far more money than the Republicans. The Kamala campaign dramatically outspends the Trump campaign in the swing states. The media is overwhelmingly pro-Democrat. So you've got, the press, is a Dem cheering squad. And then you've got also almost all the Hollywood and entertainment, the celebrities also, endorsing Kamala and being pro-Dem. So you got the celebrities, they got the money, basically everything on the side of the Dems. The Republicans are the underdog here. Trump's the underdog in swing states, and still it's a contentious. It's still a 50-50 after all that.
What does that tell you?
It tells me that if people actually knew what was going on, they weren't being fed nonstop propaganda, it would be a landslide in favor of Republicans.
Yeah.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I told you when I was in Georgia this past weekend, helping Peyton because he had hip surgery, I'd watch, it'd be 4-1 for commercials on local TV in Atlanta, 4 to Harris, 1 to Trump.
Yeah, well, because exactly what Musk just said, they've got a lot more cash, outspending probably on terrestrial 3-1, on digital 8, 9, 10-1.
Trump did have a big billboard though over I-75, which was good.
Evan Barker writing in Newsweek, I worked for Democrats for years. Billionaires have unfettered influence. I spent years fundraising for Democrats. I raised millions of dollars. In the process, I routinely saw and heard about inappropriate relationships between donors and candidates that would bust anyone's bubble about the independence of our leaders. Do tell, name names. There's an entire donor ecosystem working against the interests of regular Americans, and it's the one top Democrats are swimming in. And he goes on to discuss the friendship between Kamala Harris and Steve Jobs' widow, Laurene Powell Jobs, obviously Soros, Reid Hoffman. Interesting, Reid Hoffman. Something that Musk said in that same sit-down with Tucker Carlson about the Epstein list and about the affiliation of these billionaires, including the ones that Evan Barker's talking about, some of them, with Kamala and the new Bolsheviks. Take a listen.
I think part of why Kamala's getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gates.
Yeah. And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes. Reid Hoffman was my vice president of business development at PayPal.
Yeah.
24 years ago.
Does he seem nervous to you?
Yeah, I mean, he's terrified of a Trump victory.
The whole thing about the Epstein client list, though, I mean, if you had it or had access to it, why wouldn't you have released it already?
I don't know.
So I'm not sure that I believe Musk about that. I'm not sure that that's a real thing. Remember, I mean, Epstein died in prison under Trump's watch. So it was Trump's DOJ that would have had information about the Epstein client list. I mean, I agree that this list and wherever it is or whoever has critical knowledge about this, I want to see it. I want it to come forward. I mean, the idea that this sex trafficking empire that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell built had no clients seems a bit difficult to believe. And is it beyond the bounds of credulity to suggest that billionaires like Gates or Reid Hoffman could be nervous about that? No. But it's in some vault somewhere and to be released after the election. Why not release it now? Why not release it a year ago, in advance of this election?
I know. Now we have the P. Diddy tapes and that.
Well, that's a whole nother one
too. That's another one because there's a lot of Democratic donors that I'm sure. Well, we know that they went to some of the parties. We don't know their exact activities, but.
Well, whatever. The Texas PI attorney that's got the 120 complainants on this class action suit against P. Diddy, he said explicitly big names, and they're going to come out. I mean, it's a PI attorney, so how much can you trust it? But, well, we can hope. It should all come. I want it to all come out, of course. But
and if they saw abuse and didn't do anything, is that a crime?
But will it? I mean, and these are the sorts of things actually, too, getting beyond personalities and getting beyond even the sort of the central issues of the campaign, like the cost of living, like securing our border. I mean, going back to the larger point here is this appeal to people who are not engaged, who share small c conservative value system and are not participating. This is an obvious place. This is low-hanging fruit to press people that fit that description into participation, because there are issues that transcend their perhaps indifference to hostility to Trump that are on the table here. Noreen in Highland Park.
Hi, yes, I think a lot of Christians are affected by Melania's statement of being pro-choice, or a woman's right to choose, and I think this was a very bad time for her to come forward with this, and she didn't even qualify it by saying the last 3 months, like Trump himself has been quoted as saying that for the last few months, that he's, kind of opposed to abortion in the final trimester.
Well, that's all well and good. Thanks for the call, Noreen. But
always been pro-choice.
But it's Trump who gave you the justices that corrected that terrible Roe v. Wade decision and returned the matter to the states. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how do you overlook that?
Keep your eye on
if you're a pro-life Christian, how do you overlook that? If you're a pro-life Christian, how do you overlook the appointments that he made to the Supreme, that were confirmed, obviously, to the Supreme Court and to federal courts? How do you overlook what the alternative would look like? I mean, Trump is not a blank slate in terms of what he will do as president, which is why, for those who were compelled to support him, mainly because of judicial appointments, even though they didn't like him, or maybe they didn't trust him in 2016, well, he more than proved up. I was skeptical, but he more than proved up. So how do you just turn a blind eye to that? That's not very Christian. Corey in Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Morning, Amy. These attempts at election interference, just like when the women said that they'll offer themselves up to men, that they date them if they vote for Kamala Harris, I see that no difference as people like Zuckerberg dropping these boxes all over the place, having people come in with 10,000 ballots. They've been interfering with elections for a very long time in this country, and it needs to stop. We just need to encourage individuals to go and vote their conscience, because if what's going on in the last 4 years doesn't deter you from voting for a liberal, nothing will.
Yeah, seriously. Thanks for the call. Jim in Lake County.
Hey, Dan, Amy, I'm calling about the free Bruce Springsteen concert ticket giveaway.
And you're gonna have to go to that lunch counter where he staged his endorsement video. Yeah.
Did I win, sir? Did I win? Hey, one more thing I want to just ask. What happened to Tim Waltz's nanny's baby? What happened? That story I have no idea about.
Tim Walz? No.
Doug
Emhoff. Dog Emhoff.
Oh, dog. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See. Do you know?
Yeah. Thanks for the call,
Oh,
Jim.
she was banished. She lives on the East Coast.
But did she have the child?
No, she did not have the child.
Right,
There's
that's what I
conflicting
thought.
reports that she miscarried because of the pressure that he put her under, and then there's also a report that she did have an abortion. So either way, there is no baby. But what I can't understand is you have an allegation that he slapped a woman so hard that she spun around his date in 2015 at the Cannes Film Festival, and I guess Harvey Weinstein was there, yada yada. And no one's pursuing that. What about the oh my God, I can't even think of the movement. Oh my God.
Me Too?
The Me Too movement.
Yeah,
and
well,
all that, and believing the woman, always believing the woman.
Well, that's why you can't think of it, because it doesn't apply to the left. The Daily Mail, which had the story about the girl that he was dating, who he slapped allegedly. Kamala Harris' husband was inappropriate and misogynistic at work, his former colleagues tell DailyMail.com. Attorneys who work for Dog at his former firm, Venable, say he yelled expletives, held a men-only cocktail hour in the office. Revoked work.
You don't disagree with that.
Revoked work perks for women who didn't flirt with him.
Ew, gross.
Well, how can you not engage the
He's
dog?
so sexy, man.
And
That's hot.
took only young, attractive associates in a limousine to a ball. 2019 lawsuit also claims sexual discrimination by other partners at the LA office Emhoff ran. He hired unqualified part-time model as a legal secretary because she was young, attractive, and friendly with the powerful men in the office, the suit alleges. But again, remember the standard. Whatever a woman alleges, we have to believe is true. Right. Otherwise, you're a misogynist. So that doesn't really comport with Dog's image as a wife guy.
Yeah.
And the redefinition of masculinity. I mean, this is a guy who's spending his time as the second gentleman or the second doofus trying to combat toxic masculinity. So
he should start with himself.
I'm aghast.
Look in the mirror.
All those interviews that Kamala's given over the last 2 days, too, nobody asked a question about Dog.
No.
It's odd.
No one did.
Carol in Moments.
Hi. I'm wondering if some of the conservative Christians do not vote because they think it will hasten the end times and we'll all be out of here.
Well, okay. That's a little fatalistic, Carol. I think we're supposed to do what we can while we're here, right? That's we don't know when end times is coming. So, in the interim, act accordingly. Isn't that what the program is supposed to be?
Christians to vote then?
One by one.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Eric, the CEO of Ultimate Tax Group. With my 2 decades of experience, I have helped thousands of hardworking American taxpayers like yourself. If you owe back taxes to the IRS or state or have any unfiled tax returns, personal or business, never give up. My team and I want to help you take your freedom back today. Call Ultimate Tax Group at 888-505-1099. Speak with me, Eric, or one of my associates. My team has over 75 years of experience in understanding the tax laws and tax resolution programs. We will dissect your case and map out a successful strategy. You have rights as a taxpayer. We can stop any aggressive actions. We care and fight for our clients. Call Ultimate Tax Group at 888-505-1099, 888-505-1099.
All right, I'm doing it right now, taking my Balance of Nature. Why? Not getting enough fruits and veggies on my own, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. They're a proud supporter of this radio station, have been for the last 10 years. And I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade as well. It is so easy to open up the individual capsules and dust them over salad or mix them into a juice drink or warm water. That's how I do it. And it makes me feel great. Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, your heart, and mind with over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, and your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. So order your fruits and vegetable supplements today by calling 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35%. Listen up. I'm talking to those of you who wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, ouch, maybe your hips. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and let's talk about real, lasting relief. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. What's that? QC Kinetics uses your own body's healing properties in those achy joints. Cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. You know, the choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications, pursue surgery and a long recovery, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. You've got nothing to lose. Do it. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I know, all of the interviews that Kamala is doing are basically of the bootlicking variety, because that's why she's doing them. But the one that's the most interesting to me is Howard Stern, because I just love all the Howard Stern fans from a bygone era who are having to have Howard Stern shove it right down their throats. Like yesterday on Howard Stern, the Maverick, Howard Stern.
Say, look, I grew up in the neighborhood. Some would say you're getting punked.
Yeah.
If you stand in favor of somebody who's an adversary over your friends on principles that we all agree on.
Talking about Ukraine, I grew up in the neighborhood.
Was she Jenny from the block?
I thought you grew up in a middle-class family.
Yeah, where everybody loved their lawns. Well-manicured lawns.
And Howard Stern, effusive over her support for Ukraine, aghast Trump would be a dictator. But also, on Kamala Harris, here's how Howard Stern characterizes her.
It's really weird, too, because to me, you're the law and order candidate. And yet they try to paint you like you're some leftist who I don't know, who wants to have people running through the streets committing crimes. You were a prosecutor.
She was a horrible
I have
one.
put a lot of people in jail. I have personally prosecuted everything from, child sexual assault to homicide.
She's trying to think of a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that she's prosecuted. Yeah. It's tough to keep track of.
They-
Howard Stern, you're the law and order candidate. I mean, I just love it. Howard Stern, the great
Yes, I'm
Howard
voting for you,
Stern.
but I would also vote for that wall over there rather than a guy who says,
wow,
where do I begin? A guy who says he doesn't support Ukraine wouldn't get on that stage with you and say, I support Ukraine. And why do my fellow Americans want this kind of chaos overseas? Why?
I mean, what in the heck happened to Howard Stern? Remember when he was cutting edge and he was funny and he was listenable?
So cutting edge.
If he saw himself 20 years later, he would be wondering what the heck happened to him as well.
So counterculture, right? And now he's just another
Where's Robin?
Another sentinel of the state. All you Howard Stern fans. Another sentinel of the state.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, as usual. Thanks for your participation. We only have less than a month until the election. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn